Okay, hello, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a oddball one, just taking a look back at World of Warcraft Classic, because we are saying goodbye to Wrath of the Lich King today. Wrath of the Lich King Classic is over after about 2 years of rolling through this, which is super fun. I'd never gotten to see this expansion before, so I was very happy to go through this, but we are about to hit, I think the servers are going down in 7-ish hours, 6 hours, something like that. They are going to be rolling out the pre-patch for Cata Classic, and the pre-patch is when I first played the game back in 2010. I actually just went and looked up my version history yesterday. I went and looked at my purchase log on my account on Battle.net, and I was able to find my first ever Battle.net purchase was the World of Warcraft base game, or upgrade, or whatever. I think I used my friend Jeff's install CDs. I think he had the World of Warcraft box set, and it came with like an 8 CD installation, or maybe it was DVDs. I don't even know. It was a huge. There was like 8 discs you had to use to install this, and then it had to patch it all afterwards. Anyway, it took me like 2 days to get this set up. I think I started installing all of this on November 23rd, and then I bought the upgrade because I was like finished and ready to play on the 25th. Because it took just ages to set up, because you had to like manually disc by disc by disc insert it all, and then it had to patch like 80 gigs of game data or something crazy like that on like a 2010 internet connection. So it was absolutely ridiculous, and took like about 2 full days for me to get it fully like set up and ready to go. And I think that was right around the time that I started playing Minecraft when that first came out, so it was a very busy time. But yeah, I never saw Wrath, so like the old versions of the zones and the old versions of game mechanics and stuff like that, I'd never seen any of that. There's a bunch of changes coming up, so we're going to take a look at some of that today, and what's going to be changing, what's going to be disappearing. I might try to do, there's actually a feat of strength I think I can get today that this is going to be the last chance to do. So I think we're going to try to grab that. But yeah, we'll just roll right in. Let me pip over to the live version here, and hopefully it will eventually pick up the existence of this game. There we go. And I think you can see my cursor today. When I was looking back at the footage of the troll starting zone and the gnome starting zone, I realized it wasn't showing my cursor. And I think I've fixed that now, so you should actually see my cursor on stream. And this guy is the guy we were using for the gnome stuff, so once we finished up the gnome stuff, I think he is now just... I think he hearthed back to Dalaran, and we are here. And yeah, we'll be rolling out. This here doesn't change. This is all going to stay the same. Basically, the stuff we're going to be seeing changes to is going to be content that was in Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms, and that does not include this little island up here or these bits over here, because these were part of the Burning Crusade stuff. It also does not include anything in Outland. Outland stays effectively untouched. There might be some minor quest changes, but nothing super impressive. There's also going to be... I really have a bunch of quests turning out here. God, what is all this? Why do I have so many quests turning out here? Oh, was I questing in Storm Peaks? I must have been, and I was doing some stuff out here too. Okay, I should turn some of that in before I log off today. That would probably be a good idea, just to clear that out of my quest log, but whatever. Northrend also is not going to be changing. The big things we're going to be seeing changes in are going to be out here, out here. There's also going to be some changes to the center of the map here, because they're going to be adding in the new Goblin starting area, which takes place on an island out here. There's going to be a zone linked to this. There's going to be an underwater zone added somewhere in this kind of vicinity, and then some of the other parts of this world are going to get revamped and changed. So we'll take a look at as many of those as we can. Just to, real quick here, I want to see if I can get this pulled up. If I do screen capture. There we go. Yes, there is an article I found that is super helpful for this on Wowhead by Narissa. It is apparently from like 3 years ago. This is, I think, when Cataclysm or Classic launched, they were doing an article talking about some of the like old versions of the zone that it would be the first chance for a lot of players to see, so that people knew like what specifically to go. If you just want to see the changes, here's what to go take a look at. And if we scroll down a little bit here, it has all the zones that receive major changes with some nice before and after comparisons of like here's the... Can I get this larger? Maybe this is, oh my god, that is as large as it goes. Good lord. Okay, you can see like the before and after of like the village before and the village after on a lot of this, and like the zone changes where like there's this whole new bit of water added on here, and there's a giant tornado, and this all gets shattered, and there's some pretty significant changes going to be occurring in quite a few different zones. So we're going to try to go through as many of those as we can, and there's a few that they don't actually list here that I do remember are going to be changes, because I discovered them when I was playing Classic and was like, what the hell is this? I'm so used to the modern version of the game that some of these old areas just did not look right to me. We're going to take a look at both factions stuff, so I will be switching over characters at some point here just to switch over to the Horde side. But to start off with, let's pop over to Stormwind, because Stormwind's got... Oh, hello. It's that person we just saw running through there. Yeah, Stormwind is actually going to have one of the sets of changes we want to take a peek at, because there is an entire district of Stormwind that is just going to be disappearing here. If we look at the map, Stormwind you can kind of... Like some people, I've heard people say they had a hard time navigating this, and I've never personally understood that, but it's just a bunch of squares. You've got with like an inner and an outer ring. You've got the outer ring, inner ring. You've got outer ring out here, inner. There's just 2 rings in each area. It's a square. You got Old Town, Trade District, Cathedral, Dwarven, Mage, and then the park. And the park gets destroyed. Deathwing actually attacks Stormwind City. It's gonna change the layout of the docks here very slightly. Actually, that might have already happened. Looking at it, that might have been part of Wrath. That is entirely possible that was part of Wrath. We'll go take a look. It also might be, I think, changing the way Stormwind Keep looks a little bit. Some of these changes are because we are going to be getting flying in these zones, which we currently do not have. So can't fly around Stormwind, but after Cattle launches, you'll be able to. And some of that meant that they cut some corners in places. For example, Stormwind Keep did not actually have a backside in the original version of this, because you'd never see it from that angle. Just due to its location, it's kind of tucked off in the far side of the city, and you can't get around to the behind it. And so they never actually bothered building a full version. And once you can fly, it's like, well, we're gonna have to do something about that, because we can't have players seeing the horrible mess that's back there. But yeah, this whole district over here with the green roofs is gonna be getting torched. It's just gonna be rubble, and I believe it stays rubble all the way up until maybe Legion. It's a long while where this gets destroyed and just does not come back. So this little quiet area back here, got a stable master back here. You can see there's a little night elven district kind of set up over in this corner. All of this back here, I think some of these buildings actually even have basements. Yeah, there's I remember this. There's some weird stuff back here where you could just find a surprisingly in-depth little side area back here that doesn't get used for anything. The park wasn't ever really used for anything, which is I think why they picked it as the hey, we're gonna do something to Stormwind, blow up the park, because nobody uses it anyway. Look at this inn. This is an inn, right? There isn't even an NPC in here. There's no one to serve you drinks. I guess this would probably be nice for people that wanted to do RP stuff or whatever, but it's a little goofy that there's not even an innkeeper or any denizens or anything like that. No patrons in this inn. We've got this little archery range back here. Again, little shop, nobody in it. It's always been a bit of a strange area. Why did that window look upside down? No, it's just an oval. It's not upside down. Let's take a peek at some of this stuff, because yeah, this is all about to get blowed up. There's an herbalism trainer back here. Not much else. There is apparently one quest there. We've got druid trainer. I didn't even realize you had a druid trainer in Stormwind. They must have added that. There's no way this was here in original Classic. Because I remember there was, when I was playing Classic initially, there's no hunter trainer in Undercity, because that's the undead city, and no undead. The undead couldn't be hunters back in the day, so they didn't bother putting a trainer for them. So if you were a hunter that happened to go to quest over in those zones, you were just out of luck and had to go all the way back over to Orgrimmar every time you wanted to train. And druids are the same thing, where it's they could only be night elves. So I would imagine in original Classic, it was only Darnassus would have the Druid trainers. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah, that's about it here. Not a lot to see. This is going to be getting blowed up though. This whole district's going to be a smoke and ruin. We'll take a look at that once this launches to compare like what this looks like afterwards. Then yeah, you can kind of ride out here. Yeah, I think this stays more or less the same. Head on down to the docks. I don't think there's any particularly large changes to this, because this all looks more or less the same as it does. This here might be a little bit more open than I'm used to, although maybe I'm just hallucinating. That's also possible. Other than that, Stormwind doesn't have a particularly huge number of changes. It stays relatively the same. The other big one we're going to take a look at is I'm pretty sure the layout of the keep changes pretty drastically. Like, if you've only ever played Retail WoW, and you go back to Classic and look at Stormwind Keep, it's just like, what the hell is this? Because it looks like a half-finished. Yeah, it's still the half-finished version of this. Okay. I was like, I can just see a peek of it through the side there, and it is, yeah, very, very strange looking when you've seen the full version of it. You might also notice that if we go into Dwarven District here, is there a way through on this side? Yeah. There are a few minor changes that are going to be occurring here. I don't remember how much of this rolls out in Kata versus Pandaria. I think Kata has some of this. This little area here, in Retail, there's an auction house, like, here. The bank is here, which currently is an empty building. And then there's a gate that gets added right about here. It leads out to like a small park area that some of the Kata portals, so the new zones get added in. And in Retail, it's used for the, what do they call it, the embassy, the Stormwind Embassy. So that's all going to change a little bit. Dwarven District overall gets a tiny bit of a touch-up. It's a slightly less smoggy and overcast looking after Kata, although they also get rid of weather and rain, which I don't care for. After Kata, all the zone's weather is fixed, and you don't have randomized weather anymore, which is a little bit of a shame, because you could actually get rain in Stormwind in Classic, and you can get, like, sandstorms in Tanaris, which you don't get anymore. And then, yeah, in Classic, Stormwind Keep just starts here. Like, that's the throne right there. And after Kata, this whole building is going to get pushed back, like, quite a bit. And there's going to be a little, like, entryway paddock area here that you kind of go up through a couple of steps that leads to this exact same entrance here. The interior of Stormwind Keep doesn't really change at all, but they kind of shove it all back a couple of 100 feet and raise it up onto a hill, and then there's a new entryway that kind of helps connect with the park they're going to add off the Dwarven District and everything. Because another change, can I even see this from here? Oh, they changed this a little bit. I think this area over here, if we go through this way, gets pushed back and connected to the keep. Yeah, this is totally going to get pushed back. This here ends up getting shoved all the way to the back and connected off the side of the keep on a much shorter hallway. I believe these two little side rooms here get pushed forward and connected to this hallway. Because this ends up having some open windows in it, and you can actually look out. I also don't think, yeah, that doesn't exist in Retail. This gets shoved somewhere else. What is this, actually? Seeing as this is changing, let's go take a look. We've got statues of Mara Foredragon, High Clerist of Stormwind, patron of the refugees who fled from Lordaeron after the First War. Oh, okay. What's we got around here? That's Illyria, right? That's totally Illyria. Yeah, I don't know why Illyria doesn't get a plaque, but that's totally Illyria. This here is Khadgar. Back in old man, like, Warcraft 2 Khadgar days, when he had a giant long beard and was like an 80-year-old man. There's like a plot thing where he gets de-aged. Who are you? Oh, this is Dalen Proudmoore. Wow, okay. I didn't realize he had a statue in here. That's Jaina's dad. He's a real prick. And then, yeah, this is Lane Rin? Yeah, this was, I believe, Varian's dad. He is, if you ever watched the Warcraft movie, that is the king in the Warcraft movie, is this fella here. I didn't realize these statues were in here. I wonder if they're still there in retail. I've never poked around Stormwind Keep enough to find them, probably. I know there's a duplicate of the Lane, Illyria, and Khadgar statues up in the entryway to Stormwind in the Valley of Heroes. But and yeah, this back here is the library. This area is still going to be here. There's going to be some minor changes to its location. Like it gets pushed back. This whole courtyard and this room are going to be connected directly off of the keep, and then these two side rooms here get pushed up to here, and this little room here gets shoved off the other side of the keep. So this whole thing gets rearranged. I don't think they give like a lore explanation for that. I think it's just this current layout didn't make a lot of sense anyways. Like the fact, if we kind of look at this from, I'll see if I can find a good spot where we can see this. It's not really a good spot. They very intentionally made this where you can't see it from the back angles at all because it just doesn't work. If I just run backwards a little bit here though, and we kind of take a peek back from this bridge, you can see that like, oh god, I'm falling off the side of the world. That's what you can see. Okay, I can fix that. It's some very low resolution mushy nonsense back there, and like the throne room is apparently just embedded in this rock right here, and none of these towers are actually connected to anything, and like all of this doesn't make a huge amount of sense. It's kind of a mess, and that's again because yeah, you would never be able to get to an angle where you'd be able to see that. You could probably, I don't know this for sure, but I'd be willing to bet you could probably find a way to finagle your way up that mountain and then get in somewhere over here where you could get a look at this. I'm sure people have gotten out of bounds and found a way to view that before, but I don't know of a way to do it off the top of my head. Is there any changes over here? Oh, you know what? There's a tiny... Is there a tiny change to Old Town? I think there is. Take a look at that too. Come to think of it, there is a tiny little change over back in here. As they redo the layout of like SI7. Yeah, this little bit back here gets redone because right now if you go back through Old Town over to the right, you've got your War Mount Quartermaster.
Looking for something.
What do you sell? Is this honor? You know, I'm actually not that far off on what I would need for that. Oh no, I should have done this. I think the requirements for this change pretty soon. Can I view you? No, I can't even preview that.
Farewell.
Ah well. I think that's just this. I think that's the mount she's riding. I do kind of want those mounts. There's like the PvP quartermasters and stuff hiding in here. Why it's military ranks. Oh yeah, because PvP used to have ranks. Right. And then this goes into like 2 interior buildings, which is a little goofy. This all gets changed. There's going to be like an open courtyard, and this is where the stable master gets moved to. Because the park gets destroyed, they had to move that somewhere. And they redo like the mounts. Like currently, if you want to buy the human faction mount, you have to go out into Elwyn Forest and go all the way out to the Eastvale logging camp is where the mounts are sold. And they move that all up into here. And there's going to be like a new little layout here for some of this stuff. It's not a huge change, but it is definitely nicer than having to run all the way. Actually, the mounts might be over by the flight path. I don't remember that one. We'll have to take a look at that when it relaunches. But they do move the mounts out of being sold from halfway across the world. I think this gets deleted. There's this weird... I don't know what this is for. There's this weird portal here. And like, you can't actually get into that. And the gate doesn't open. I don't know if they were like planning to do something with this at some point and just never did. But I think that does get deleted here. And you're not going to have a strange portal to nothing floating in the middle of the city anymore. As far as other changes go, if we pull the larger map open here, Elwyn Forest is basically untouched. Darkwood is basically untouched. There's going to be changes to these. There's quest changes. All of the quests in the game get revamped, retuned, and pushed around pretty much. Partly because they are going to update them all to reference the current events of the game, as opposed to referencing the original events of the game. So like we're going to be talking about things as though we'd already finished Wrath and defeated the Lich King and so on. There's some changes to Westfall, which we can go take a we're at real quick. That's pretty nearby. We're just gonna flight master on down there. Save a little bit of running time because we don't have flying. It does take a little bit longer to get around here, but I should have most of my flight paths unlocked. Yeah, we're good. Hop on down to Sentinel Hill. Take a look at what's going to be changing out here. And yeah, here's some of those duplicates of the Khadgar and Illyria and Lane statues. I think a much nicer version of the Lane statue, to be honest. And yeah, fly over this. This is all staying mostly the same. I think there's a few little tiny changes here. I don't know if this house might get moved a little bit, and some other like minor stuff like that. Not much though. For the most part, they left these zones pretty untouched. Like the biggest one in this area that gets a big twist. Well, actually not even the biggest one in this area. The biggest one in this area is going to be Stranglethorn, which we'll take a look at in a minute. But Westfall, as far as the starting zones go, yeah, out here gets a big change. If you've played retail and you're seeing Westfall, you're probably like, where the hell's the giant tornado? Because there's going to be a giant tornado out here, and this entire center bit of the map, like out in this section, just gets destroyed. There's a giant crater with a tornado kind of over the top of it out here. Not a huge amount of changes other than that. We'll be seeing more of the like wind elementals out here. This gets a little more built up. There's going to be a few more like shops and stuff around here. A little bit more going on. I think they might even add a wall around this, where it's not just this tower. Could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that looks a little less fortified than I'm used to. But yeah, this bit out here is going to end up with just a giant crater. Like, pretty much covering this bit right about here. And then I think they touch up... Pretty sure if we go... Yeah, there's like a little island off here. This, I think, island doesn't exist anymore. And that's mostly due to changes to Stranglethorn. If I can fly over to... What's his name's camp? Nessingwary's camp. That'll be probably the best place to start looking at Stranglethorn. Like, Westfall doesn't have a huge... The biggest change is going to be the fact that, like, this entire portion of the sky is going to have a massive tornado in it. Aside from, like, level changes and stuff, too. That's another thing to take a look at, is that, you can kind of see I have the level ranges showing up there on the top of the zones. A lot of these zones' level ranges are going to get massively adjusted to try to make a more streamlined leveling approach. Because as it stood in, like, Classic, you ended up having to ping pong all over the map. Particularly once you got to about level 30, it got very difficult to just, like, continuously quest in, like, a straight line from, like, zone to zone to zone to zone. Because you'd get through, like, here, it's like, okay, level 25, level 30, 30 to 45, but honestly, you probably wouldn't get enough XP, and it's like, okay, maybe you can get a few more quests in Swamp of Sorrows, but there's not really that much to do there for Alliance. I guess then you're pushing up to, like, through here and trying to quest up into this, and you end up having to just ping pong back and forth across the map, and then over to here, and then back over to here, and it just made the general gameplay flow a mess. And that all gets revamped in Canada to try to make for a more streamlined leveling approach, which when I first started playing I didn't realize, and it was when I went back to Classic and started leveling through it, I was like, oh my god, how did anyone get anything done? You spend like half your day just traveling back and forth when you're trying to level in this game. Whereas after Kata, you can very easily just be like, okay, you just kind of follow the intended path through the zones. A breadcrumb quest will just send you to the next zone as you go. There's very obviously a like clear order of what way to do things, and you don't end up having to ping pong back and forth across the map as much, which it's got its pros and cons. It's convenient. It's very straightforward. It does mean you see a little bit less of the world, and it can hurt the immersion a little bit, I suppose, if you're like, man, I really like the idea of having to like travel around and see stuff, and you feel like a traveling, world exploring adventure a little bit more in the old version, but at the cost of it taking many more hours to do. They also add in quite a few more flight paths. The original version of Classic is like very flight path sparse. There is not many places to go. Like here, we've got 2, but I want to say they add at least 1 or 2 more in here after Classic. It's significantly easier to flight path around after the Kata updates. Yeah, this is going to be another zone that's going to get a pretty major change. If we actually, I'm going to tab over to here real quick. We've got this little list of major changes to zones, and if I pop over to Stranglethorn, this is the original map, is actually going to get split into 2 different maps, the southern half and the northern half. And so right about here, Fort Livingston, I don't even think that's there in the current version of the game. Crystal Vein Mine is probably going to be, Crystal Vein Mine and Gurabashi Arena are probably going to be our relevant cutoff points. So that should be Crystal Vein Mine right there. That's Gurabashi Arena. So right about here, there's going to be a massive whirlpool that opens up and collapses a big chunk of the continent into the ocean, which splits this zone into 2 halves. And part of the reason for that is that this zone, as it stands right now, is a 15 level range, which is really high for a zone when you're leveling. Because you're going to be constantly running into quests and enemies where it's like, well, I can't do this one yet because it's 15 levels above me. And splitting it into northern and southern, they kind of shoved some of the quests and enemies around a little bit in the level ranges to make it into a more like, this is a low level zone, this is a high level zone. As you're leveling through, it makes it a little bit more consistent and easy to move your way around. If we pop on down, I think once we get to about here is where we're going to see where this giant whirlpool opens up and where the changes are. And most of these changes are explained as it's just like, oh, Deathwing broke out a deep hole and it shattered the earth and it caused some earthquakes and damages. Just him flying around and setting fire to stuff destroys a lot of stuff, like the park getting destroyed, and Stormwind is entirely due to just Deathwing flew over Stormwind and set fire to it. And then they decided to wait almost 10 years before rebuilding it. I don't think it gets rebuilt until it's Legion, I think. I think it's Legion when they killed Varian. They built a memorial for Varian there. That's where his grave is. I think that was the first time they touched that zone. There might have been a very minor update in Warlords of Draenor, because they added that one dungeon where the exit to the dungeon was like on the overlook here. They might have updated it during that. I'm not 100% sure on that though. That would fact check me on that one. All right. If we get to, let me see. This is going to be about where the split in the zone ends up being. So this whole like river and body of water here kind of cuts in. There's a massive whirlpool that opens up over here. I think the Alliance end up building, the fort they build has to be like right here. It's either up on this hill or like right down in this clearing. And then yeah, there's going to be, this road gets broken in half and there's just a giant hole in the ground, and they added a new little path that kind of cuts along what's going to now be a cliff between this bit. So like this whole path here is just gone. There's not a huge amount that gets lost with this. They were pretty good about trying to make sure they didn't like, if we're going to sink something into the ground, we're not going to like destroy a really cool, unique questing area for the most part. Like, as you can see, this is mostly just empty nothing. If this is Crystal Vein Mine here, this is what would now be the southern part. I think this is, because I'm pretty sure this is where I want to do all my skinning. Yep. I was like, I remember spending a bunch of time on one of my leather workers killing these basilisks, because they were one of the only ways, or the most reliable ways, to get medium hide. I remember spending just ages going in loops through this cave, and then out here and killing all these and skinning them all, and rinse and repeat forever. So yeah, tiny bit of a change there. I guess we'll swing down to Booty Bay and take a look at what else is going on. I think Swamp of Sorrow stays more or less the same. Blasted Lands gets a change, which we can go take a look at. It's a weird one. Blasted Lands gets a very strange bit of a change to it. We kind of look at the map here for now. You've got like Netherguard Keep, Dark Portal, and then this Tainted Scar over here. They cut off the entryway here. You're not able to move back and forth between Tainted Scar and the main chunk of Blasted Lands. The orcs, this I think this little thing here gets turned into a horde fortress. And then this set of mountains gets knocked out. And you can actually access this beach, and you end up having a whole quest chain that takes you along this beach and up into the Tainted Scar through the like southern end. And there's a Worgen city like down here now. Okay, slightly the wrong way to reach Booty Bay, but that's fine. So yeah, there's going to be some changes there. We'll go take a look at, at least the Tainted Scar, because that's going to be pretty different. Tainted Scar gets a pretty big change because of the fact that you're now entering it from a different angle. There's a quest hub related to it and everything, whereas in the current version of the game, it's just kind of not used for much. There's a lot of stuff in Classic that was just kind of not used for much, because they, as they were developing the game, they had a lot of ideas, ended up getting, landed on the cutting room floor, and they'd already built some of the zone and world map around it. And so by the time the game released, they're like, well, we'll leave these zones in there, and maybe someday we'll go back in and add this content. The hell are you? Samantha Swifttooth. Pardon me. And yeah, a lot of that stuff, they're like, oh, maybe we'll add it in at a patch, or we'll do something to it at a later date. And then as they started going through the expansions, it was like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. We're not going to end up using this stuff for anything. And so Kata ended up being kind of their look at like, we've learned a lot from how the first two expansions went, and we've learned, had a lot of ideas in our cutting room floor that we've been sitting on. So they kind of used that as an opportunity to go back and revamp the world. It does mean that Kata definitely had a reputation as far as the end game went for having not as much content as Burning Crusade and Wrath did, particularly at launch. Because they spent so much of their effort in Kata initially, like working on revamping these old world zones, which I think was definitely the right choice. The new player experience in Wrath is daunting, and Kata did a big job at improving that, so that players, if you want to invite your friends to come play World of Warcraft with you, you don't have to be like, by the way, though, it's going to be real rough for the first 60 levels. Alright, up we go. We'll pop on over to Blasted Lands, take a look at that. I should have a flight path there, right? Yeah, Netherguard Keep still exists. I was like, Netherguard Keep ends up getting blown up at a much later date. Not Kata, but much later date. Got this little island out here. There's some little forts. I think some of this, again, also gets some very minor revamps. I think that gets blown open. You can see a bunch of gold inside of it in Kata. There's some touches they did that were just like, well, now that players can fly, there's some of these areas that were just kind of like look at these trees. Oh my god, look at the state of that. Some of these areas were just kind of like set dressing. They actually did a lot of this in Classic, where there'd be areas that you couldn't access, but when you were on a flight path, you'd be able to see them. And so they'd put little like decorative stuff just to kind of have something neat to look at while you're on your flight path, because it takes a while to, get around. Notable one that I remember that's still there in retail is if you take a flight path out of Stormwind heading north, you'll kind of go over this bit and between Burning Steps and Northshire, and up in the mountains up here, there's a group of dwarven hunters that are like hunting dragons, and you can just see like the occasional little fight between them and the dragons, and it's kind of an ongoing NPC battle that just takes place up there in the hills, and you couldn't actually access it. It was an area that's so far up a cliff that you just would never have a way to get up there, but it's just a thing you'd see every time you were flying past. You could kind of watch what was going on, and then once they add flying to these zones, they're like, well, we gotta revamp some of this stuff now that players are actually going to be able to land on it and access it. We're going to try to add a few more like areas of interest or things to take a look at for people that end up finding their way out there. I'm assuming that's why some of these changes, like Blasted Lands actually getting a coastline, exist now, is that like, well, now that you can fly, if you fly over these mountains, there's just a hole. Like there's this empty nothing If you were to glitch your way up onto this hill, there's a range of mountains along the coast to make sure players can't swim around and get up, and there's a range of mountains here to make sure you can't get over, and then there's just an empty void of nothing in it, kind of between them, because why would you need that? You're never going to see it. It's between two mountain ranges. There's this empty, unused map space. Honestly, don't know why they didn't just have the coastline right up here. Maybe they were planning on doing some quests and that got cut. No idea, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on in the old versions of the maps, like this here. If we go to Burning Steps, if you look at this on the map, Burning Steps has this, like, behind the O in Kingdoms, there's just kind of an empty zone. Like, Badlands is here, Burning Steps is here, Duskwood is here, and then there's, like, this little nothing. There's an empty hole in the world. And if we pop over to our handy-dandy guide here, if you look over at, like, Badlands, yeah, you can see Badlands is now going to be all the way out to the edge of the map, which at the moment it's not, and that's because they have the water kind of cuts in there now, and this gets kind of cut off, and there's just a hole. They push Burning Steps a little bit, nudge it over a tiny bit, get this all lined up a little bit more, so that there's not just an empty nothing void sitting in part of the continent. This bit here is going to be extended out a little farther because Twilight Highlands becomes a new zone that exists out here with entrances off the edge of wetlands. So a little bit more land mass gets pushed onto that to make for a questing zone out in this area, which currently is just, nothing. If we take a look at wetlands, which we will be taking a look at later because this has another fairly significant change coming to it. This bit out here, this little road here, is going to extend farther and actually push out into Twilight Highlands in the future. Another one of the changes we'll be seeing coming up. Here we go. Made our way over to Blasted Lands. And yeah, there's going to be an actual coastline accessible from here after Kata because they kind of shoved this mountain range out of the way. I believe Serpent's Coil is still accessible. I think that's the mine that's like right under this. So they must keep some of this mountain like intact and just shove the rest of this out of the way. If I'm not mistaken, I'll check this actually. Is that Serpent's Coil right there? Just find my way down this cliff real quick. Yeah, that's gotta be it. There's like a little, I remember this, there's like a mine that's like infested with demons underneath Hellguard Keep. There's like a bunch of warlocks in it. I don't know if this is still the same thing here. We got cultists. Yeah, whatever. And yeah, this all gets shoved around a little bit. I believe, yeah, the mine, I think this whole mountain range just gets knocked down, and you can actually get out to the coast. Can we make our way up that? That almost looks like I could find my way up that if I wanted to. As long as we're out here, I want to check something. One of the feats of strength that we're going to have access to, I could probably do this right now, is if you get your unarmed weapon skill, because weapon skills aren't going to be a thing anymore. They are completely removing weapon skills from the game. As it stands in the current version of Classic, or all of Classic, you had to have a skill with a weapon, which affects your chance to hit, and I believe damage as well. Like, don't quote me, but I believe it also affects damage. And it significantly affects chance to hit. If you don't have the right weapon skill, you're just not going to be able to hit things, like, at all. So for example, if I equipped a mace right now with my 1 mace skill, even though I'm, 30 levels above these enemies, I just would not make contact. All of my swings would just whiff. And they changed that and just removed that in Kata, where like, no, you just either yes, you can use the weapon, or no, you can't use the weapon. There's not like a how good you are at using the weapon skill. And unarmed is actually one of the ones that was really fun, because there's occasionally enemies that'll have a disarm attack, which gives you a debuff where temporarily you lose access to your weapon, and you'd actually be using unarmed attacks. And there is a feat of strength in retail. If you... is this... Red Maul Ogre. I think this is where I want to go. One of these little ogre holes here, there is an ogre that can't die as part of a quest You have to have like a special quest item to kill him, so you can get him down to 1 hit point, and then he just stands there and will not die. Yeah, it's this guy, and he makes him like absolutely ideal for training up your weapon skill. And I want to get this this weapon skill achievement real quick. So all I gotta do is, yeah, engage this guy in a fight. And now I can just sit here and beat on him for a minute. We're gonna turn the audio down for a second to make that slightly less obnoxious. Yeah, I'm gonna stand here and punch this guy for a bit. As you can see, my unarmed skill on the bottom there going up slowly but surely, and even if I were to get him all the way down, if I spam some of these extra attacks in here, start punching him, even if I drop his health to 0, he just won't die. So this was like the easiest way to get this level up. I want to get my weapon skill to 400. We're currently just passing 300, so give me just a minute here, because I do want to try to get this ticked up before we get to the server reset, because once the server resets today, weapon skills aren't a thing, and the achievement you can get for having your weapon skill all the way up becomes inaccessible and gets retroactively turned into a feat of strength, which is a neat little feat. Yeah, as you can see, 0 health, doesn't die. This was like the goofiest thing where you can just AFK on this guy and like just get you some weapon skill real quick. I'm trying to think if it would be smarter or better to fight somebody higher level than him, or if that even matters. I don't know that it does. I don't think I have any attacks that use my weapon. I was like, you can use like extra attacks and it'll, you know, increase the rate at which you're gaining weapon skill, but I don't think that actually matters for unarmed, because I don't think any of my attacks count as unarmed attacks. That's okay. We'll just punch him for a little bit and we'll get it there eventually. If I get it up a little higher, I can always, once I get to like 350, I can always run up to Northrend and find some stuff to punch up there. I was like, he is like mildly damaging me, I guess, kinda, but I'm a Death Knight and I can just heal myself. So it doesn't particularly matter. Like, Death Knights are very difficult to kill. And yeah, once you're ready to leave, because, you know, you can't actually kill this guy, you just run out of the room. He won't follow you forever, so. It's looking like I might want to actually go do this somewhere else. Well, we are still gaining levels, just very slowly. Yeah, we'll do this later. I don't want to waste too much time punching this guy, but we can come back and knock that out at the end. I'll probably do that off stream between showing off these zones and Dark Souls. But yeah, if you're playing along in Classic and you're looking for stuff to do before Kata drops, that is definitely one that's worth taking a look at, because it's a neat little feat of strength. Let's see if we can find it, actually. It should be under... Is it General? 4 weapon skills to 400. Unarmed skill. Did somebody offer a knuckle sandwich? Why not have 4 weapon skills at 400 on this guy? 2-handed axes, 2-handed maces. I guess we'll get 2-handed swords will be easy enough to get up. Maybe I'll grab that before I log out today. I can just grab a 2-handed sword and go knock that out real quick. And then unarmed, and that'll be my... Does unarmed count? Unarmed does count, so yeah. Grab this before server reset today, and you get yourself a neat little feat of strength in Classic. And hats off to the players that have it in retail, because I am definitely not one of them. And yeah, I believe that gets converted to either Dreadball Hold or this little bit down here. Does Deadwind Pass? That might be Deadwind. Well, not even sure on that one. There's something on my map here, but I'm not 100% sure how you'd get to it. Oh, this is the little altar. I know what this is. There's a weird little demon altar up there. So yeah, this is it. Dreadmaw Hold it is then that gets converted over into the Horde base, because at the moment the Horde don't actually have a camp here. If you want to get out here as a member of the Horde, you have to fly out to Stonard and then run through Blasted Lands to get down to the Dark Portal, which was always really awkward. I feel really bad for the players, or like Horde players, when like Burning Crusade rolled out and you wanted to get down to the Dark Portal, because it's just super out of the way. Like, they did not really make that easy on people. I guess there's a portal from Orgrimmar. I don't know if that was there at launch though. And yeah, this here, Tainted Scar, this is all going to get completely retooled. As it stands right now, it's just kind of a big empty nothing. Like, there's really nothing here. There's going to be some trees, there's a little quest chain, there's going to be this Worgen city that gets added down at the bottom. This entrance that we actually just took to get between Blasted Lands and Tainted Scar proper, it gets removed. I'm assuming this must have been part of an end game quest, just looking at the levels here, because these were all what, level 60 something, so they're probably part of one of the like attunement quests for a raid, if I had to guess. Because typically when you're seeing level 61 elites in an area like this, that's what it was used for, was just like one of the attunement quests for a raid. In Classic, you know, would send you down here to clear these guys out. I'm not actually sure what this one would be for, though. I don't remember this. But yeah, this all just ends up being a completely redone little section. Gets a little bit more life added into it. There's some more demons. There's like a pond. There's some trees. There's this weird little Worgen town where the entrance is now like through here, I guess, would be where it ends up being. This all looks so different in post-Kata that, like, I genuinely don't even know what they did. They may have just completely just flattened this out and started over when they redesigned this, because this doesn't look anything like it. Like, matter of fact, can we look at the map there? If I look at Blasted Lands, let me look at the before and after. Yeah, I mean, you can see, like, maybe this is still possibly open, but like it's very different. And yeah, down here this whole coastline gets opened up. There's this little Worgen town down here, and this all ends up being the Tainted Forest instead of the Tainted Scar. Very, very different layout to what we're gonna have, and different look. It's all grassy instead of rocks. Can I get back out this way? Maybe not. We might not be getting out this way. Okay, that's fine. We can actually... The thing is, we've taken a look at most of the stuff that's available easily on the southern half. Let's go and take a look at the northern half of the map, and we're going to do that by portaling out of here and popping over to Ironforge, and we'll kick off from Ironforge again to show that off. One of the other changes is going to be the gnome and troll starting areas, but I did show off the full quest chain of like retaking Echo Isles and Gnomeregan, which is apparently how it's pronounced. I hate that. I've always called it Gnomeregan, but it's apparently Gnomeregan is the official pronunciation now that I've heard it voice acted, which, God, I hate it. Yeah, we can pop back through Dal, head on over to Ironforge. Where the hell am I in Ironforge? Where does this put me? Ah, Mystic Ward. Okay. Should be this way to get to the exit? Yeah. So yeah, the gnome starting area gets redone. They now have a little village out here that they can spawn at outside of Gnomeregan itself. There's also going to be... Can we even access that right now? There's the Dwarven Airfield, which was another one of those, like, we threw something in there for some, like, set decoration on a flight path, but it becomes a playable area where you can actually do some questing. Can I get to that from here? It'd be, like, up on this little hill, off to the side. Ooh. Possibly not. If I, like, shove myself into these trees enough, can I get an angle where I can get up this mountain? Because it should be like, yeah, you can kind of just see the little path. There's going to be a bit up there. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get up to that. that's going to have a little air base on it. It's there right now. If you take the right flight path, although I don't know the right flight path off the top of my head, that will fly you over this, you will end up seeing, I think it's this bit. There's like a tiny little air base up in the mountains over here. And they extend these trails to give you access to it post-Kata, so you can actually do a little bit of questing up there and use it for something instead of it just being, you know, set decoration. There's also some like extra stuff you can get access to up on the actual mountain above Ironforge itself. So again, right now you're not really getting up there, but they added some fun stuff. Like there's a couple of crashed planes up there, and there's a crashed airship, and there's some guys sledding. I think you can run into some like gnomes out there sledding down the side of the mountain, and a couple of dwarves and stuff. There's some, again, fun little set decoration stuff now that you can fly. They're like, well, we got to put something on the back of this mountain that you never would have been able to see otherwise. And yeah, here's the little gnome staging area where they're doing their retaking Gnomeregan quests, which we did the other day. They're all still hanging out here. That'll all get moved after the patch today. Other than that, there's not a huge amount of changes to Keranos. Again, some minor quest change layouts, you know, stuff like that. Bumping around, like some of the quest givers get moved together, because a lot of classic quests end up being like, there'll be one guy here, and 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 they kind of like shove them all together into one spot after Kata, so that you don't have to wander all over the map finding tiny little quests like, you know, as it stands right now, like maybe this guy would have a quest, and there'd be another guy like off over here that would have a quest, and they'll just, okay, we're gonna condense this together so that you're not having to spend as much time finding your quest guides. Like the fact that I'm using this add-on called Questy right now to, you know, track where my quests are on my map, just because otherwise you'd never find anything. You don't need that after Kata. They make it much easier to navigate the map. And again, for the most part, the game will just kind of like, okay, you finished up all the quests here. Okay, we're going to give you a quest that'll send you to the next spot. And you can just kind of follow your quest chain through the game, and it'll keep it going. Whereas in Classic, that very much is not the case. You are definitely going to run out of quests very quickly and have to go looking. What do we got here? Just some mountaineers wandering around? Alright, cool. Where we're heading is going to be, I believe we want to go... Yeah, I want to go to Loch Modan. I think I want to go this way. We'll use the signpost. The signpost will tell me which way to go. Because there's going to be a change to Loch Modan that is fairly significant. Yeah, this is going to be it here. I don't know why that seems to be the main road. Where does this take me? I'm gonna guess that these are just like the two different entrances. Yeah. Okay, Dunmoreau through Northgate or Dunmoreau through Southgate. So, whatever. We'll go through this one. It's fine. I don't think there's a particular reason to use one instead of the other here. Like, I'm so used to flying everywhere now that I've forgotten how the actual connections work on half this stuff. Which is, yeah, one of the downsides of Kata is that they added flying, and now it makes it much easier to just kind of ignore the map and wander through all of it. Not so much for the 1 to 60 zones, because you still have to, you know, hit 60 before you can get flying, but... Beautiful. Alright, Valley of Kings. This stays more or less the same, although I think they might remove the restriction for the key here. This is the entrance down into Searing Gorge, which does have some changes to it, partly because there's going to be... Searing Gorge is the one that gets the giant gouge taken out of it. Am I losing my mind? No, it's Blasted Lands that gets the gouge taken out of it. Although, Uldaman, isn't that right here? Yeah, this is the way to Badlands. This isn't the way to Searing Gorge. What am I talking about? Requires key to Searing... Oh, right, because I'm looking at the wrong spot. Searing Gorge is over here. Right, this stays more or less the same, I think. But I think they get rid of the requirement to get a key. Like right now, I don't even think I can open this door. Because you need to do a random quest that gives you the key to open this, which makes it really awkward getting into Searing Gorge. I remember I had to get to that for something when I was questing. I was like, the hell do you even have to do here? There's like a whole quest chain you end up having to do just to get access to a key that opens up that gate. And I think they removed that after Kata, where you can just wander straight through there. The reason they put that in is because this is like a level 10 area, 10 to 20 area, and Searing Gorge is like level 50. It's intended for like much later in your quest chain, so they're trying to make sure new players don't just accidentally wander through a gate and end up getting absolutely obliterated by an end game enemy, which understandable, but it does make it very awkward trying to navigate. And yeah, blasted lands or Badlands down here is going to get a pretty big. Not super important, but this city here gets burned down. The goblins open up a little camp here, and there's a little shoreline that gets added in. And there's a big giant gouge, like burned path right through here that gets added by Deathwing. And I believe a tiny little change to this area down here where there's some dragons you have to do some quests for. But overall, not the biggest of the changes we're going to be seeing. And the big one we want to see here is Stone Rot Dam, which is actually in the Kata trailer getting destroyed. And the lock itself. So Loch Modan is named after the giant lake out here in the middle, which, as you can see at the moment, is very full of water and all nice and happy. This is getting blown up. Deathwing is going to take a stroll through this in the trailer, blow up this dam down here at the end, and the entirety of the loch drains out into the wetlands, which reshapes some of this area a little bit. Obviously, the dam itself is destroyed, and all this water is gone, which I think there's also, like, I'm not mistaken, there is a Loch Ness Monster out here somewhere. There's like a unique named Preshadon somewhere out here in the water. Without being a hunter, it'd be a lot harder to find her. She's quite a ways down. Like, if I was on my hunter, I would have hunter tracking, which makes it much easier to find stuff like this. But I'll take a peek around, see if I can find her. I'm not sure if Nessie still exists after the Cataclysm patch, because the lock's not in great shape. And it is entirely possible that she just gets extinct. Yeah, I'm not seeing her right now. I mean, we can see, like, the young Threshadons down there. They're very obviously based on, like, the shape of the old, the traditional Loch Ness Monster, but I'm pretty sure the named one might not survive this. Possibly it does. There is still a tiny little patch of water in, like, the center of this lake after the Cataclysm, but not much. Most of the water is gone. Yeah, this dam here, if you watch the Cataclysm trailer, there's a scene where you'll see this giant dwarven dam shattering and all the water breaking through it, and that is this bit right here, which does actually get destroyed. And we come back to this after Cataclysm, it's just a complete wreck. Very neat to see, actually, but we can, at the moment, I run out to here, yeah, they've got this giant dam built up with these, like, dwarven heads being the kind of flow-throughs where you can see the water spitting out of their mouths, which leads down into the main bit of wetlands. Yeah, I could survive that. Probably not, right? We're gonna try it, though. Wait, I want that gone. Oh, come on. Oh, that's weak. Oh, it's like a foot too short. That's okay. Oh, it put me down here. That's a slight bit of problem. Okay, hold up. I don't care about my repair. We'll go ahead and revive here. I was like, down here I would have to walk all the way back up and jump back down, which is not ideal. That's fine. I will take 25% gear durability and some res sickness to avoid having to run all the way back as a ghost. Yeah, this actually does put me right down at the bottom, which is convenient enough. This right here is going to get, yeah, completely redone. There's now like a new little, as you can see, like right now, there's like a raised bit up here, which is where the water from the dam flows down, has a little pool up there, and then flows down all the rest of the way into wetlands, and that's going to get redone, where this is all going to kind of get washed out and flooded, and there's a new little questing zone down in the flooded bit down here. I think this cave might not make it. I don't think that's going to be there anymore. And then, yeah, the other big change is going to be if we go back over this way. Let's see if I can find it even. There's a bit where you see a bunch of dragonkin fighting a bunch of, like, cultists. And that's going to end up being the entrance into one of the new Kata zones. I believe the NPCs that are fighting are still there in Classic, because it's where you can farm a bunch of cloth. I think that's still the same cloth farm in both versions of the game. So if we can head on down into here, should eventually find... Is this it? Is this what I'm looking for? This might be it. Starting to see a few dragons, but not seeing the swarms of enemies that I would be expecting to see. And this is going to lead around to Grim Batol here, which ends up being a dungeon in Kata, but not quite what I was looking for. Maybe the enemies I'm thinking of aren't there yet. Let's take a look and see if they're maybe a little farther north than I'm remembering, but I don't think so. No, okay. So that's a new thing. Let's go take a look and see if there's any sign of an entrance over here. Like, it's always kind of interesting where they added the new zones, because you get big new zones we're getting are Twilight Highlands here. There's going to be Vajir, which is just a underwater zone off the coast over this way. Obviously nothing out there at the moment. And then Uldum, which is, you can kind of see there's this weird gap below Ungoro, and like Silithus as a very harsh cutoff, where like there's a definite line right there. This all gets kind of revamped. This gets extended out a little bit. And there's a new zone that gets added in here, which you can actually already see the gates to in Teneris. If we go down to Teneris, we'll take a look at that here and show where that's going to be and how that's going to change. And that new zone that gets added in. And then, yeah, the other zone is going to be Hyjal, which is this big empty blob up here, the mountain where the World Tree was in Warcraft 3. That actually opens back up and becomes a playable zone, which at the moment it is completely inaccessible up at the top of a mountain. I think you could just barely see the mountain. The much lower view distance in Classic makes it kind of difficult to see, but yeah, entrance to Twilight Highlands would be right through here. If you might even be able to see some of this interesting. Or is this just going to dead end into a mountain? Entirely possible this is just going to dead end into a mountain. If you were to follow this out here in post-Kata, it's going to lead into... Oh, hello. Named Elite. How are you doing? Yeah, this is going to end up being the entrance out into Twilight Highlands, out over here on foot. You'll be able to see one of the giant spire. I can't remember what to name it. There's a raid that gets added here. It's just like this giant, enormous spire. Bastion's Keep might be the name of it. It's been a long time since I've done that raid, and you'll be able to see that on the horizon over here. But at the moment, completely inaccessible, more or less wiped out. As far as changes north of here, the biggest thing you're going to see is that the Worgen starting zone gets added to this little peninsula right here. We'll take a look at that once we're on my Horde character. It's a little easier to explore these areas and see some of the changes out here. They merge together this zone, Alterac. I don't want to get attacked here. Oh, I don't really care. They merge together Alterac and, can I get this to click in? Hillsbrad. You can kind of see how they're like bordering each other right here, and probably should just be one zone, and it is just one zone after Kata. They just kind of merge this all together. South Shore gets destroyed. That whole village just gets burned down and turns into just wreckage, or the South Shore ruins. Not a honestly particularly notable change. As the Alliance, there's not as many, much of a quest hub out here anymore, but that's because they revamped this into redoing the undead questing experience where you're now going to go from here, into here, down into here, and just kind of loop your way through in a ring around Lake Lordimir. So they're trying to push the Alliance out of that a little bit to make this a more new, Horde exclusive questing zone. Not as far as like map changes go, though. Not a huge amount of map changes. The Western Plague Lands, you start seeing a little bit of life coming back to it. This gets a little bit greener. There's a few little Alliance quests you can do out here, I believe, after the patch gets added in. And then Eastern Plague Lands, they buff up Light's Hope Chapel a little bit, which is this little bit out here. This gets some actual walls and fortifications built up around it. Other than that, not much of a change. That, again, mostly stays the same as what it is as far as map layout goes. So the northern half doesn't have as much going on as far as changes go here. At least not that we'll take a look at now. We will take a look over at the entrance to Gilneas, because that is going to change quite a bit. Honestly, the whole questing experience for Silverpine gets completely redone. It is one of the most, notable changes, I think, as far as just the zone didn't change, but the quests do. You also end up, because of Silverpine being the location of, the Dalaran crater should be, I think, right about here-ish. Yeah, it's this bit right here, and it gets kind of revamped a little bit, again, to add some quests in and update the storyline to match the, post-Wrath stuff, although I think even if we went up there right now, they've changed some of it from Classic. I think you can actually see the crater now, whereas in original Classic it was just a giant purple bubble. Once they established in Wrath that the city had been teleported, they went ahead and updated that area so you can actually get inside and see it. I think the bubble is still there, but it's transparent now, whereas in Classic it was just an opaque purple void that you couldn't get into. We will... Is there anything else I actually want to show on my Alliance character here? I don't think there's particularly much else that's going to change here. Darnassus doesn't really get much of an update. Again, some minor stuff, but not huge. I don't think any of the zones over in Kalimdor... I mean, Darkshore gets some pretty significant changes, but we can honestly take a look at that on my Horde character pretty easily. Ashenvale is going to get some stuff over there. So yeah, we might just switch over my Horde character now and use that to show off the rest of it, because Kalimdor gets the worst of it. Kalimdor is getting smacked. So yeah, let's switch characters real quick. I'm gonna log back into this guy in a year and be like, what the hell is he doing standing in the middle of wetlands? Why do I have a level 80 character just in the middle of this random zone? That's fine. Why is this gear at level 53% durability? That's okay. We'll check that out later. We'll just pop over to this guy. I could switch to another server, I think, if I wanted to get somebody a little bit higher, but this is fine. We don't need anybody endgame. He was just here doing the end of the, Oh yeah, look at that. We got the little troll celebrants hanging out here, because apparently now that we've finished the quest, we get this little extra bit added on there. Are these more celebrants over here? Yeah. I wonder if Vol'jin has anything unique to say now that we've actually, officially completed the quest chain. Oh, look at all these. Vol'jin, anything unique? Have a home again? Couldn't have done it without your help. Now we celebrate. I'm a little curious. If I go over there right now, is there going to be anyone on that island, or is it still going to be full of the, I suspect that it's still going to be full of the, all the trolls that we just did the quest to kill. I haven't actually tested that theory, but let's go give it a shot. I kind of doubt that they actually updated it that thoroughly, though. I just want to see if any of the, crazed cultist trolls are out here. Zalazane's little hexed group. Well, that reflection doesn't make any sense. Oh, is it reflecting the vines? I think it is. I think that's supposed to be all these vines that are hanging off these trees here. Okay. Even though we did the quest that's supposed to have cleared out all these ruins and reclaimed them in the name of Bwonsamdi for the Dark Spear, I kinda suspect that we're just gonna find a bunch of cultists still sitting out here. Let's see, though. Maybe they were... Yeah, no. Bunch of voodoo trolls just sitting out here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, we'll pop back to here and we'll warp back instead of having to manually walk all the way back to Orgrimmar. That's fine. I got fast travel, we might as well use it. Alright. Portal to Orgrimmar should be right around the corner. I can actually, yeah, go ahead and pop on the cheetah for a little bit of extra movement speed. Thankfully, hunters are pretty quick at moving around out here. Yes, Orgrimmar is getting a massive change. This is going to be unrecognizable after this. This whole thing becomes flooded. It just ends up being just like a giant swampy troll. Like, a lot more of these little huts, water running through the whole thing. I think it gets renamed. Valley of Wisdom is going to get completely redone. This whole area is just massively, massively changed. Partly because these towers here are going to get extended up to the top of the, like, I guess what would you call this? I think this doesn't exist anymore, if I'm not mistaken. This extra raised bit of tower here. And we actually get up onto the plateau? Plateau, the word I'm looking for? Canyon? I'm not really sure what the right word for this would be. But you can actually get up onto the upper bits of here, and they move the flight path up onto that upper bit. The Zeppelin towers get moved from, instead of being like outside the gates in Durotar, they get moved onto the like upper tier above the Cleft of Shadow, which means that the giant hole in Cleft of Shadow's ceiling gets closed up. If you go down in there right now and you take a look, there's actually like a big hole in the roof, and this is now like post-Kata. This is a closed cave, and the upper area here becomes where a bunch of the portals get added, and where all of our, extra flight paths, and I think the stable master gets moved up there, and the airships get moved up there. All that gets redone. This whole bit gets completely revamped. Right now, that little building in the middle, like kind of right when you first walk in the door, that's the bank. That becomes this, and all of this gets combined together and becomes the new war chief's, like, hut? Base? The keep? I guess you'd call it the keep. It's where the Garrosh is going to be hanging out. Whoever the active war chief is going to be living in this building right here. I remember when I first played Classic, I was like, oh, I want to go see Thrall as war chief, because I'd never seen, Classic WoW before Kata, and I never got to see Thrall as the war chief. We ran in the door, and I ran straight into the bank and was like, what? Hello? So confused. I had to go look up a guide for where the hell Thrall was, because I just assumed that had always been the war chief's hut. But yeah, no, it's a bank. And where Thrall actually is right now, back in the Valley of Wisdom, which is the old war chief's hut. If we run back this way, you have this little bit right here where they built a giant statue of Manaroth to commemorate Grom's sacrifice in defeating Manaroth back here, which is pretty cool. Was that actually his armor? Oh, neat. Yeah, this here is the war chief's hold, and this gets knocked out. They add in a pond, I think, right about here, and this becomes a giant Tauren enclave back here. This building gets knocked down and completely redone. This becomes like a Tauren enclave. I don't think Valley of Honor changes too much, and the drag doesn't change particularly much, although the lighting changes quite a bit. I do miss the old lighting, which is mostly due to the fact that again, you couldn't fly out of here and get up on these cliffs, so they added some really scenic lighting, but once you can fly in and out of here, it's like, it doesn't really work anymore. They changed the layout of this a tiny bit. The other big change we're going to see is that there ends up being a back entrance off the drag, which I believe gets cut in, must be like right about here. And there's a path that leads back up out of here, where the goblins move into. And it ends up becoming a back entrance into Ajara. You actually can quest through Ajara through this way as a relatively low level character, whereas currently Ajara is a relatively high level zone, 45 to 55. They cut in a back entrance out of Orgrimmar and lets you get up into Ajara, which again gives you a little bit more options in questing. Ajara gets it's not even the same zone anymore. If we pop over to this guide real quick and take a look at the before and after, so that's the current version, and that's the after version. The goblins build a new island that just isn't there in the original version of the game, and build a giant fuck off cannon on it and blow the entire region up into the shape of the Horde logo, which completely redoes this. Galliwick's Pleasure Palace gets added, which again, just flat out is not there in the original version of the map. This is all just unrecognizable. The entire area is completely different. You can see the little entrance to Orgrimmar is added in. Like, I would have to show that entire zone if I wanted to show the before and after, because the before just doesn't exist anymore. Admittedly, the before also was garbage and wasn't used for anything, but they just erase that zone and restart afterwards. I know that a lot of people just didn't realize that too. Like, I still see people to this day that are like, I never realized that Ajara gets reshaped into the Horde logo, because like it's just flat out the Horde symbol, like tilted sideways, but it is just flat out the Horde symbol cut into the map there, and somehow people just missed that. There's a little quest chain you can do out there where you actually hear them talking about it, where they're like, they did it because they were trying to please Garrosh, because when the goblins were trying to get accepted into the Horde, they realized that they weren't very trustworthy, and that they were going to need to do some work if they wanted to get Garrosh to accept them in. We're gonna quick fly out to Crossroads in the Barrens, because that's going to be another one of the big areas that gets hit. Barrens gets it rough. Current Barrens map is one of the largest zones in the game. It stretches a huge distance, and again, a huge level range. It's another 15 level range zone, which they were like, this is just too much. Like, players are not going to get anything done out here. So they end up cutting in roughly where this little canyon is. There gets the Earth splits in half and kind of cuts the zone to upper and northern, or northern and southern Barrens. With Northern Barrens being a Horde questing area for low-level players, and Southern Barrens getting turned into a neutral questing area, mostly Horde, but technically neutral, with Northwatch being revamped into an Alliance base, which I think it's currently... I actually don't know if there's anything for the Alliance to do there. I think it is technically considered an Alliance base. Like, the soldiers there are faction tagged as Alliance, but they don't have anything for Alliance characters to do. Like, if you went out there as a member of the Alliance, there just wouldn't be anything there for you. Just be a bunch of random greens standing around. And yeah, they revamp that a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, there's also going to be... Yeah, Camp Tarajo gets burned down. So we'll go take a look at, like, this little cut here where this is going to end up getting ripped in half, which you do also see in the trailer. If you watch the Cata trailer, there's going to be a point where you see an earthquake tear a giant hole in the ground, and it all kind of collapses into a pile of lava. That is this little bit right here that you're seeing. And then another zone that gets hit really hard is Thousand Needles. So we're just going to kind of run our way down the main road here, head on down into Thousand Needles, and take a look at that, because Thousand Needles is another it is completely unrecognizable after this expansion hits. Can I just, yeah, run on stealth out of here, we're good. Follow this road out and it'll get me all the way down to where I need to be. I was like, I know the cut takes place, there's like this little entrance area to Wailing Caverns down here. And the zone gets cut in half basically directly south of Wailing Caverns, because Wailing Caverns is still officially within Northern Barrens after the Cata update. Because I remember my first character, we went into Wailing Caverns because there was I was playing a hunter, and there's a tameable raptor you can get in Wailing Caverns that my friend was like, oh, it looks really cool, you should go get that. And then I realized later it's the same as these guys. It's the exact same Like technically it's cool because it's I guess named the deviate raptors, but like once you catch it, it's exactly the same as those raptors there. I should have just grabbed one of these guys. Would have been a lot easier, but that's okay. I'll probably end up grabbing one of those guys on my retro playthrough here, just so I can not have to deal with Wailing Caverns, because just the worst. But yeah, right about here is gonna get sliced in half. If we take a look at this, we can try to line this up a little bit. What was you? Go to Barrens. So, Stagnant Oasis, yeah, it's just this line right here, which looks like it is more or less lining up with this canyon in the ground. Right about where that is. If I go to Southern Barrens, can we see? Yeah, overgrowth in this canyon just get ripped right in half. And you can see some water gets dragged into here. Northwatch ends on the south side of this, so yeah, it does line up more or less with the kind of rift here. I don't really know. It's not really a canyon. That's the canyon. It looks like a dry riverbed, probably. Like this, at one point there was water flowing through this, and it's dried up at some point. Neat thing you will see is that, particularly on the southern side of this, there's a whole quest chain in here where the druids are trying to figure out like how to expand these oases, because like life in the Barrens is dying out, and they're trying to improve that situation, and it works. When you come back here in the post-cata, this section down here on the south side is all green and verdant and grown up, just like these oases over here, and the one that was back up by Wailing Caverns there. So there is some signs of life kind of returning to the Barrens a bit. There's some problems with that you'll get to when you're questing in that area. You actually find the Narrowlex, I think is his name. There's a druid sleeping inside Wailing Caverns, and a big chunk of the quest ends up having to be like you're trying to wake that guy up to get his help. He ends up in some trouble out here, and we'll have to deal with that. Other major changes is, yeah, this little horde camp down here gets torched. The Alliance at Northwatch come in and burn this whole thing to the ground. They also take, there's a little, I never explored this, there's a little dwarven outpost farther south down here. And that actually becomes like an Alliance quest hub, has some stuff for them to do. They give them a little bit more to do out here. Alliance really did not have much in the way of content in the Barrens, which is intentional. They were trying to make this, horde low-level questing area, so they didn't want Alliance players running through it constantly. But when they split it up into Northern and Southern, they were able to take the Southern half and put a little bit more content for the Alliance in here. But yeah, this whole place is dead. Like, everything here is gone. I don't even think there's a flight master here anymore. I think they just get rid of this guy. All the buildings get burned down. The NPCs are gone or dead. I don't know what happens to all of them. I guess let's take a look at some of the names here. Omusu, Logmar. What do we got here? Drawn, Sanyu, Rune Totem. Rune Totem, that's actually a pretty relevant action name. Yeah, these folks are all most likely dead by this afternoon. I don't think it's supposed to have been Deathwing. I think this one is just it's the Alliance. Like a lot of the changes you're gonna see are like, yeah, it was Deathwing. Deathwing came through and like, burned everything down or whatever. But I think this one burned down because the Alliance are bastards. I don't think this one had anything to do with Deathwing. There's also going to be, I don't even think you can see it right now. Yeah, it's not even built yet. Weird. There's a big gate that gets added here. They just close Mulgoer off, like, completely. You can't walk back and forth between these two zones as of this afternoon, which is, again, because they're going to revamp how this whole zone works. This becomes, like, I think a level 35 to 40 questing area for, both factions. And they shut this gate off so that level 10 Tauren aren't like, oh, I'll just walk over to Orgrimmar and then wander out into a level 40 zone. So that all gets revamped. I think it also changes the server we're going to be playing on is Mankrik, which is named after an NPC sitting in Crossroads right here, who is looking for his wife who's gone missing, and it's one of the famous memes out here is, does anyone know where Mancrick's wife is? Because as you get given the quest and they don't tell you where she is, and he says to wander around until you eventually find her body, and then you bring the info back to him, and he finds out it was killed by gnolls, and he sets off on a whole thing. That whole quest chain gets redone because with the zone being split in half, his wife's body is down here, and he's up there, and the gnolls he wants you to kill are like all the way down here. And they can't do that quest anymore the same way because they're not going to have a quest giver in the like low-level northern barrens sending you into southern barrens. So that gets completely bumped around and moved. The other thing that people were a little disappointed about, because this was such a huge level range, 15 level range, right after the starting area, like if you're a troll or an orc, you're going to start right over here. You're immediately going to get dumped out into this. Tauren, you're going to start here. You're immediately going to get dumped out into this. So 3 of the 4 factions on the Horde all end up spending, 20 hours questing through this zone after you get out of your little starter area. And general chat out here tended to be like just absolutely popping off. Obviously, a little dead right now, partly because I'm on a server that's getting closed down. I'm on Windseeker at the moment. And they're closing this server down sometime shortly after the launch of Kata, so a lot of people have already taken the free transfer and gotten the hell out of here. I haven't bothered yet. And then partly because it's the day before the pre-patch and we're in a low-level zone. Not many people need to be out here, but Baron's chat used to be really hopping, and when they split it in half like this, it does significantly cut down on the chatter you'll see out here. But yeah, this becomes like an actual fully functional alliance base after the patch. See a few little Vale Dune excavators wandering around out here and whatever. I don't know if they're actually officially tagged as alliance. Like if I came out here on my alliance character, I'm not actually sure if these guys would be friendly or not. Like they don't have the alliance PvP flag on them when I hover over them, so I'm not 100% sure how they work. But yeah, head on down here, and we're gonna get to the next major update. There's some minor changes right around here to like the entrances to Razorfen Crawl and Razorfen Downs, which is mostly because once you have flying and you can get over the top of this, it looks really bad. Oh, look at that! Just got to explore the Barrens. And yeah, they revamped that a little bit. This zone here, though, 1,000 Needles, is completely unrecognizable post Kata, because at the very far end of this, where the Shimmering Flats is, if we look at the main map here, we're right up against the edge of the ocean. And when Deathwing flies through, he's breaking off this retaining wall, I guess you'd call it, that is holding the ocean back. And this whole zone gets flooded. There is water up to about here, all the way across the entire zone. So all of the quests and content and everything that is down at the bottom of this is just gone. Like, all of it's gone. There is no more of the content in this zone. It massively cut down on what you have available to you for questing in this area. Like, post-Kata, this zone is useless. Whereas pre-Kata, it's actually like a relatively fun questing area. And yeah, after Kata, they just trashed this place. There's a few things that get added up on the cliffs on this side that aren't there currently. There's like an extra little area here with a bunch of Twilight Hammer cultists up there. And I think there's a little bit added up on the cliffs over here. Freewind Post gets some new stuff to... There's the quest from Freewind Post where you have to attack the... I can't remember what the evil Tauren are called. I don't remember what the name of these guys are. There's some Tauren up there that are like evil Tauren. And they give you a few new options for that. Freewind Post does still exist. It is still sitting there because it's up on the top of these things and survived the flooding. I think it's actually expanded even a little bit, but this zone is, yeah, very, very, very different after this, because all the Centaur down here are dead. All the quests you get, as far as like, there was the one quest chain where you're like talking to the seer over here and getting a whole series of visions and everything. That's gone. All of this gets redone, and Shimmering Flats is, yeah, completely flooded, which we'll go take a look at. There's a neat little bit out here that you used to be able to watch for fun. That's just gone. There is some fun quests out here still. They actually add a neat little questing zone out in Shimmering Flats, specifically related to the fact that the zone's now flooded. That does add to some fun extra content. And then yeah, we'll pop down to Teneris because this gets a pretty big revamp too. Like all of this Steamweedle port and all of this gets sunk into the ocean. The port actually gets moved right up next to Gadget Sand. I thought I was losing my mind when I was playing this because I was like, I swear there's a dock with a boat on it at Gadget Sand, and I'm like, it's not there. I don't know. I think I'm losing my mind. And like Steamweedle port's there, but it's so far away. I was like, that can't be what I'm thinking of. And yeah, it's because it's not. They do flood this whole little area right here after the shattering. As far as other stuff we want to take a look at today, we'll go down to Teneris, we'll take a look at the entrance to Uldum, then I'll probably flight path up to... Jeez. Flight path up to here in Ajara. Or here. One of these two. Probably here. Take a look, or Ashenvale, and take a look at some of the changes to Ashenvale and some of the changes to Darkshore. There's also this out here, Isle of Dread. It gets sunk under the ocean. There's not really much to say about that. They don't really do anything interesting with it at all. It's just, that's another notable change, I suppose. There's one less island on this side of the map. Not that it was used for much beforehand, but it's definitely not used for much after. But yeah, right here, the Mirage Raceway. You can actually see there's this giant track out in the salt flats here, and if we run through it, if we're lucky, I think we probably missed it. There's a race that happens every now and then. You'll actually be able to see the racers running around. There's an announcer that'll kind of make announcements as to how the race is going. You can catch a race, why not? Long as we're out here. There's Quentin. Where are you? You the race starter girl? Maybe I can talk to here to ask when the race is going to start. What are you? Drink vendor, okay. You are... You there. You look like you might be a guy I can talk to. The race announcer.
Aye.
Welcome to the races.
Watch
Okay,
your back.
nothing. He's not shouting, and I can see... Yeah, there's the goblin drag car there. Oh, wait. There goes one of the racers. I was like, yeah, they do actually race down here, which is kind of neat. There's somewhere out here there's going to be a goblin. I don't know where he is. Maybe he blew up. Yeah, he's got two little... Like, here's the standing version of that little car we just saw fly past, the gnome race car. And then, yeah, there's the little goblin, like, pod racer thing over here. Rocket chariot, whatever you want to call it. Apparently drag car is the official term, although I don't know if I believe that. But yeah, they do race. You'll see the announcer will occasionally call out, like, you know, such and such racer is entering the final turn, whatever. I don't know why he's not announcing a winner here. I was like, guy's just doing like a test lap or something. I don't really know what's going on with this. This has always been a little goofy and not, like, particularly noteworthy. I thought it would always be cool if you could, like, bet on it. Like, if you could come out here and, like, place bets on who was going to win, or if there was any... If you could race in the race or something, but it was always just kind of a series of quest chains you do, and then there's like a little drag track out in the middle here. The main racetrack does a big loop of the whole zone. It's honestly quite large. But yeah, this is all flooded, and they've revamped it into a... There's like a shared barge floating over the ruins of the racetrack, joint operated between the goblins and the gnomes. And you can do a bunch of quests to recover scrap and material from down at the bottom of the lake, which is kind of neat, but yeah, I figured we'd just take a farewell look at the old goblin racetrack now that that's going to be completely underwater. And then yeah, we'll pop on down into Teneris here, take a look at the entrance to Uldum, where that's going to be opening up. If I'm not mistaken, if we're lucky, there'll be a sandstorm going on, because I don't think you can get sandstorms post-Kata. There's every now and then will be having some weather going on, which makes it really neat to look at, but we're basically just going to be rolling a dice on whether or not we get lucky and if it's in a sandstorm or not. I've only seen it like twice. Well, let's see. It's... Oh? Is that just the sky shifting to a different, like, background skybox? It might be. Yeah, I don't think it's... No sandstorm today. The weather's actually pretty nice. I was like, yeah, when you come out here sometimes, it'll just be like, in Classic, it'll just be a massive sandstorm where you can't see farther than, like, that far in front of you. Really neat, but nothing going on today, and yeah, we'll see once Kata comes out. This is all going to get... There's going to be water up to about here. And a little dock gets added out in this general region. All of this gets flooded and put underwater. I should go back and take a look in Kata and see if you can find like the wreckage of the old Steam Weedle port out there. I have no idea. But yeah, entrance to Uldum is not where it says. We'll go down to where it's showing, and that is completely inaccurate. I don't entirely understand what they were going for here, because you have this here, which is labeled as Uldum and Valley of the Watchers and whatever. And it looks like it would be heading south out of Daenerys, and that doesn't work. South is an ocean. There's nothing out there. So the way you actually need to go to get to Uldum is they're going to extend this out a bit, and there's going to be a new landmass over in this sort of a region, and that's where I think the entrance gets shifted over to this side and shoves out that way, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there, but I am pretty sure I'm not. Let's just keep on trucking though. Head on south a little bit farther. See if we can get down to the old entrance. Another thing we're going to see in Kata is the view distance gets massively increased. Current view distance is pretty sad, all things considered. It's better than it was in like Classic. Classic, it was like down to like here. It was really bad. But compared to retail, this is like I feel like I'm playing Morrowind. But this is all going to get massively pushed back. You're going to be able to see much, much farther after this. I do like this, like, there's something to be said for the way they used to do old school, like, view fog, where you just have these silhouettes in the background. It is very cool to see, but... Because, like, you see these, like, you know, rib cages sticking out of the desert, and at first you'll look over there and be like, oh, that must be more them are rib cages, and then it starts twitching, and you're like, wait, what the hell is that? And because you can't see any color on it at all, it doesn't make it very easy to tell what you're looking at until you actually get up close to it. Is there? Okay, yeah, I was like, there is like supposed to be another one of those weird, twitchy nightmare areas over in that kind of a direction. What is that? Was this a flower? Okay, I was like, I thought there was like a tiny goblin standing out here. I was like, what are you doing here, sir? This isn't a good place for you to be at all. Okay, we should be coming up on the old entrance to Uldum here. I believe it is going to be in this little... Matter of fact, I think that little outcropping right there is part of it. Yep. These gates here are like the old quote-unquote entrance to Uldum, which, you know, isn't a zone in the original game, but they already had some ideas of, like, plans for Uldum that ended up getting scrapped because they didn't have time for it, and we're like, we got plenty of content as it is, don't worry about it. But yeah, this here is supposed to be the old entrance to, like, the Valley of the Watchers, which, again, doesn't make a lot of sense, considering that Uldum is that way. And I'm almost positive that they add in a new entrance, like in this mountain over here, that takes you west out into Uldum. Because I'm pretty sure I know what it looks like. It's got two giant statues on either side. It's kind of like this Egyptian-themed entryway that pushes out west into the new area, and it's right south of the entrance. Crashed Goblin airship? What's that doing out here? Weird. Yeah, I think it gets added in right about here. And it's like just south of the entrance into Ungoro. Which Ungoro doesn't get a huge amount of changes. I think a tiny bit gets shifted around here. There's some new quests. There's some really cool new quests on there actually, but not a huge amount of changes there. We'll probably run down. I'm trying to think what the easiest way to get to a flight path is going to be. We could just run back to Gadget's Inn probably. It's probably going to be the nicest. Yeah, Ungoro doesn't get a huge amount of changes. Silithus doesn't get basically anything changed in it. If anything, it gets less content. Silithus has always been kind of just like a forgotten zone. Like, they had a bunch of plans. It was most of the quests they had for it were related to the opening of Ankh-Kiraj, where they're like, oh, we're going to add in all these cool quests that are going to be related to the opening of the gates of Ankh-Kiraj, which all gets removed in Kata. You could still do most of those quests right now if you really wanted to. Like, if you wanted to do the full attunement quest chain, it's all still in there. I am not set up to do that at all. I would have to do a bunch of rep grinding and a bunch of other nonsense if I wanted to do that. So unfortunately, we couldn't like show that off right now. It's also quite extensive. It has you running all over the world. But that gets all removed because they remove a bunch of the attunement quest chains because you don't need to attune for raids anymore. And yeah, that gets revamped a little bit, but it's so embarrassingly low on content for leveling that they actually add a portal. If you go here in Kata, there's a portal in Cenarian Hold that will port you over to Blasted Lands, because this is like in endgame. At post Kata, this becomes the like 50 to 60 zone, and then they also bill this as a 50 to 60 zone, but like there's just nothing there. There's no quests in Silithus. So you go out there and you'll do the like 10 quests they have, and they're just like, here, take this portal to Blasted Lands and go somewhere where there's actually quests. Like, it's so bad. I remember questing through here. Like when I went my original character, I did a bunch of stuff out in like here. They lower Eastern Plaguelands. Eastern Plaguelands isn't a 60 zone anymore. And I got to like 50, and I was like, I need something to do. And Jeff was like, oh, you'll like Ungoro. Like it's all dinosaurs. You'll like, that's cool. So I went down there and I did a bunch of quests on Ungoro, had a good time. And then it's like, okay, Ungoro, well, the next thing to do would be Silithus. And he's just like, don't go to Silithus. It's useless. You don't want to go there. And I was like, well, it's right there. Like, this is so much more convenient. And then, it was not worth my time at all. I get like a level out of that zone and then get the hell out of there. Blackwater's back. Hello, Survivalist. How's it going? Yeah, checking out Wrath Classic, because we're rolling out Cataclysm Classic this afternoon. And so we're just kind of touring around and taking a look at some of the areas that are going to have major changes. Where like the entire zone is going to look different after the patch today. And discussing some of the like history and whatever of it. But yeah, just taking a wander around. I finished up Xenoblade. Xenoblade's fully done now. I've finished the DLC. I finished the main game. That is all wrapped up and good to go. VODs are available, and I think I might have to go flip them over to public, but I think all of the VODs are on the YouTube channel as well. If you want to check any of that out, I believe it's all on there. Again, I might have to toggle the public versus private tag on a few of those. All right, I want to get to here. Go to Splinter Tree. I actually went and installed Xenoblade 2 on my Switch yesterday. I'm not planning on starting it just yet, but I did go and get it installed, so that's ready to go. So that whenever we do decide to start that up, it is ready and set to kick off. Why does this look so... whatever, it's fine. Yeah, I kind of want to come back out here now after Kata and see if this port, because this is all underwater, this gets flooded. I'm curious to see if any of these little structures here are still in the game. The other things we want to take a look at before I wrap this up here for this stream. What games do you even play? You're gonna be sticking with WoW. Can't see your game list. I'm going to be for the future right now, next month or so probably, doing some Warcraft. I don't usually do Warcraft. It's actually very rare that I do that. But for a little bit here, I'm going to do Warcraft just because with Cataclysm Classic rolling out, that was like the patch that I first played the game in. Was the pre-patch for Kata, and I was like, you know, what'd be fun is to go back and like make a new character from level 1, just level through the game is a kind of nostalgia throwback to when I first played the game. If anybody wants to join, please hop on in. The more the merrier. It'll be great to have people floating around. Um, you know, pop into an odds and ends dungeon, do some extra whatever side content. I always enjoy doing goofy side stuff too. I remember my friend Jeff and I, because Cataclysm released. The pre-patch rolled out on November 23rd of 2010, and the official game launched on like the 6th or the 7th of December. And I remember Christmas Day, we lived together, Jeff and I, and I didn't have I don't have any family in state. I don't have anything to do. Like when holidays roll around, I'm just like whatever. It's a Tuesday. It doesn't matter to me. And I was like, I woke up at like 4 in the morning on Christmas, and I was like, oh, all right, whatever. I'll just play some Warcraft today. Like, there's nothing important going on. So I logged in, and I'm leveling a character, and then at like, yeah, 4 in the morning, all of a sudden I see Jeff log in, and he's like, he lives in the same apartment as me. He's like just down the hall. And I'm like, typing to him in chat. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing awake right now? He's like, I'm Jewish. Did you forget? And I was like, oh yeah, I suppose so. You don't care about this holiday either. And so then we're like, well, what are you working on today? And he's like, oh, nothing, because like everybody else is offline. Like it's super dead. Everybody's doing Christmas stuff. Nobody's playing Warcraft. And I was like, well, all right. Do you want to like make some alts and we'll just level together? And so we came up with this goofy idea where we both made a Tauren, and we made the like Christmas outfit, because there's like the Santa outfit you can make in the game. And we made ourselves, I think Jeff dressed his Tauren up as a Santa Claus, and I dressed mine up in the green one to look like one of the little like Santa's helper elves. And then he had this 2-seater rocket that we got from the like recruit a friend thing, and we were flying around because they just added flying into the game for the old zones. We were flying around the old zones dressed up as Santa and Santa's helper, and then we got a bunch of the like gift wrap paper, and we would just like airdrop onto random players and then hand them a gift and wish them Merry Christmas, and then just hop back on our rocket and fly away. It was the stupidest thing, but we spent like 2 hours just flying around a bunch of like random zones, delivering Christmas presents to whatever players we bumped into, and it was great. Stupid dumb crap like that is what makes MMOs worth playing. Yeah, I know it's super fun. The Christmas cows. I still have. I cannot bring myself to delete that character. I still have him. If I log into like actual retail WoW right now and I dig through my character list enough, you'll find a random like level 15 Tauren who's dressed up in full Christmas gear, and that is why, is because that was my Christmas cow. And yeah, there's a bunch of dumb stuff. I've seen a video a while back, because once they add flying in, you can fly around these zones instead of being on a flight path. And there was a guy that made a challenge out of you'd fly your mount up to the like skybox limit, and then activate auto run so your character is automatically moving, and then press the dismount button so that your character goes into free fall, and once you're falling you can't control your trajectory, like you can't angle yourself, and you'd aim for like a puddle and you'd try to like land in the puddle to avoid dying, because if you don't hit the puddle you just instantly die. And they'd get like a group of friends together. Internet's for porn, yeah. Oh, that's classic. There's a bunch of classic old Warcraft memes. Yeah, here we go, flying through Org. This is all going to change. This whole city is going to look completely different after the patch today. So say goodbye to Old Org. Yeah, I love doing dumb nonsense like that. So if anybody wants to join in, please do. The server's Mancrick on the US. I don't know if it's US East or US West, but if you have a US Warcraft account, you can, you don't have to buy anything special for this. You just need game time for World of Warcraft. You don't need to buy the expansion or buy Kata. There's like a Kata upgrade, but all that is a bunch of like cosmetics and mounts. You do not need to buy that if you want to play the game. It gets you nothing functional. I think you can spend an absurd amount of money to get a level boost, but like, whatever. You don't need that. Yeah, we're just be playing on Mancrick, leveling through Horde, doing a bunch of quests. I'm actually gonna try to read the storylines and follow the quest chains and experience the game. What a shocking concept that is. And yeah, just have a fun, chill leveling time. And yeah, we're getting into another zone that's going to have a few changes. Not as much. I say not as much. There's a pretty major one, but not as much as you might expect. Big things we're going to have here. This zone up here, which is currently nothing, is Mount Hyjal, which is big in Warcraft 3. If you played Warcraft 3, that's the big ending cutscene to the game, where you see Archimonde attacking the World Tree, and then all the wisps, like, nuke him. That is this central bit of the land right here, which is currently inaccessible, unless you glitch your way out of bounds, which I do not have set up or know how to do. And that becomes a new leveling zone. It's one of the early game leveling zones. I think you have to teleport out there. I don't think there's an on-foot path, because it is quite high up. Once you have flying unlocked and you see the height difference there, it is a long way up. That mountain is enormous. The big change we're going to have in this zone is that there's going to be a volcano has erupted here, and this whole area over here gets set on fire and just turned into a giant flaming ruin with a fire elemental standing on the side of the mountain shouting down at everybody. It's really cool. But yeah, not there in the old version of the game. This has always been one of the prettiest zones in the game too. I love the whole vibe they've got going on here. Can't stand the Night Elves, but they got some cool aesthetics going on. It's gotta be said, the zones look neat. I just mostly don't like their architecture. I think their architecture is a mess. But yeah, this whole bit here is on fire. The big volcano erupts. Oh, get out of that. Big volcano erupts in the background, and this whole thing gets kind of melted and collapsed into a pile of rubble with lava everywhere. And yeah, big angry fire elemental standing up at the top of the hill, which I think you can see the hill that he'd be on. I think it's up here is roughly where he'd be. Turns into that. And the only other major change is that this little outpost out here, which we'll fly to in a second, as it stands right now, it's just a couple of huts. It's a few orc and troll huts just on the side of a beach. It does actually get some walls and a proper fortification and a little bit. It looks like more of a proper settlement instead of just two random buildings on a beachfront with a flight master standing outside. The other big thing we're going to see is that this path right here is gone. I was thinking about this when they just in retail recently they added a new method of flight where you can it's dragon riding, and it's you glide instead of flying. But you can go much faster. If you go into a dive bomb, you pick up a ton of speed and you can go super fast. And I was like, it'd be cool to see if you could fly through a cave while dragon riding. And make it in one entrance all the way through and out the other entrance without hitting the ground or the walls. And I was like, this would be the perfect one right here. If you dived off of Mount Hyjal and built up enough speed, and then ran through this at like full speed. Would be really sick if you could, like, you'd have to be super fast to pull that off to be able to make all the turns and weaves through this tunnel without running out of momentum or clipping into the walls or the floor. And then I went down here and discovered that this tunnel doesn't exist anymore. It's blown up. This whole thing is now just like an open canyon that connects these two areas instead of being a cool tunnel. I actually really like this tunnel because this is in a PvP server, this ends up being like extremely dangerous moving through this, because if you want to go from Ashenvale to Stone Talon, you have to cross through this tunnel, and if you run into a member of the other faction in here, you could be in trouble. So you actually end up occasionally having to, like, you know, use these side areas to like get out of the way and hide for a second if there's another, you see another, higher level player from the opposite faction coming your way. But it's gonna be gone. It will not be here anymore, and it's just gonna be a big open canyon that connects these two areas. And then this whole zone gets a big rework. This bit here is going to have a big open field with like a druid encampment in it. And then there's going to be some extra stuff added on there. There's actually... I can get out to it. There is a neat little thing I can show off that's going to change out here. I think I've actually shown this off on stream once before, because it was one of the only times I found myself finding a way to get outside of the map, because I do know how to escape the map in this zone. I can get myself out of bounds pretty easily. And you can explore some of the areas that are, behind the scenes that you're not really supposed to see. Which, when they add flying to the game, again, that all has to get changed, because they can't have that if, once you can fly, it's really easy to get outside of bounds, because you just fly there. But we're going to see if we can get over to that. Because there's a neat little area you can access that actually has some, like, props and terrain and stuff set up. And I think it's designed to, if you take a flight path from here to here, you fly over that bit, if I'm not mistaken. And so they added some little set decoration for the flight path people. But if you manage to find your way out of bounds, you can work your way over to it. And this actually ends up becoming part of the map after Kata, because they were like, well, we've got this area that already has some buildings and some terrain set up, so we'll just use that as a quest hub. And it becomes a horde quest hub later. So we'll just work our way around over to there, and then I'll see... The only other thing to really show off is going to be Darkshore, as far as like new or changed content goes. Like the only other, I think one thing I missed when I was on my Alliance character is that if you go into Ironforge, the people on the council are going to change. Magni is currently standing on the throne as the king of Ironforge, and that changes after Kata. They open up a new little area of Ironforge. It's like Old Ironforge, which sort of exists in Classic, but you have to glitch your way through a map to get there. Like, there's a spot where you glitch your way through a wall, and you can end up down in like a kind of test dev area of Ironforge that was... You can tell they were planning to do something with it and then gave up on the idea and just left the map there and, walled it off. But if you know where you're going, you can glitch your way through the wall and land in it. And they actually officially open it up and add some little extra content to it after the shattering. About it's Magni in Modern WoW is like made of crystal. He's like a diamond man, and they add some like... Sometime between right now and when the game reloads after this patch, he is going to have wandered down there and come into contact with the heart of the mountain, turned into pure diamond. And yeah, it's a little weird. They don't super explain what's going on with that, despite the fact that he ends up continuously getting used after this. And yeah, he's going to be changed after that. There's going to be some new people. There's a council of Three Hammers is the ruling faction after the Kata update. So we'll be able to see that. I'm probably, once I get out of bounds, I'm probably going to have to hearth out of here, because I doubt I'll be able to find my way back inbounds. I think the one time we did this, we weren't able to get ourselves back in. Friend Eric and I were exploring this one time, and we managed to both finagle our way out of bounds, and then we couldn't get our way back in after we were done. It was neat to see, though. We were able to find a bunch of cool stuff out here. All right. Let's head this way, and I think it's right at the very north. Or it might be right here. It might be just next to the S in Stone Talon Peak. There's a spot where you can really, really easily get yourself out of bounds. It doesn't even take any skill. A lot of these like out of bounds things, you have to do some very precision jumping, and like sometimes they have to do stuff where like if you use a specific mount, it'll make your height tall enough to clip you through something, or like you have to have a spell that only specific classes are able to do this. This one is just like you have to have a character that can get here, and that's about it. It does not take much. Having a mount will make it slightly easier, but that's pretty much it. I think you don't even technically need the mount. It should be back this way. There's like a druid hut, like one of those druid barrows, and it's just to the right of that. Yeah, this is it. So we want to go up here where the Talon Den is, but instead of going into the Talon, I was looking at this when we were playing, I was like, that really feels like it is not that much farther up to get up to the top of this mountain. Like, that peak is looking mighty close there. And we were kind of like messing around, like, is there a spot we can finagle our way up? And then you get kind of back into here. It's like, huh. That really doesn't look very far up. So then we were like, okay, we're determined. There's got to be a way to get up here, right? And there is. You can actually, if you manage to find the right spot, just gotta bungle around here a little bit, and I can eventually find it. Yeah, there's that. Okay, we're up here. Now I think I want to go. There's a spot here somewhere where he's gonna get traction and run right up that little side bit. No. Am I wrong? I might be one area over from where I need to be. Might be a little farther. Oh. Come on. You can do this, buddy. Oh, there we go. We're up. And we're free. And welcome to the outside of the map where they never intended players to reach. This is very much, as you can see, not an area that was originally intended for public consumption. There's a few little side areas down here where it's like, huh, this almost looks like it might have a purpose for something later, but doesn't. As you can see, this is just an outcropping on the edge of the map that has nothing on it. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. We could like maybe go down there if we wanted to. There's this very strange terrain out here. And this is all going to get changed, yeah, because obviously once flying is a thing, you can't have this. Like, you can't have a giant, jaggy nightmare mess like this that players have ready access to. That would not stand up. But if we work our way up this, I think there's another cool little area we can find. I just gotta find the right angle here and be careful not to fall off. Because you can fall back into the zone pretty easily around here. And then you're like, now I gotta work my way back up. Yeah, this bit here, we can get... This is the bit I was thinking of earlier when I was trying to get up that one slope. There is a spot, there we go, right there, where we can get up onto this, and then you can get onto this. And there is a bit where we're going to be able to work our way up this. Like we can get much farther south than here. People learn to play immediately go, let me just leave the play area. Yeah, no. This is the fun bit. Okay, hold up. I got up there pretty reliably a second ago. I just need to find the right angle. I remember we were doing this as my friend and I doing this together, and it was kind of helpful when you had two people, because if one of you happens to get the right jump, then you have a you know, I can see what he did and follow that. But there is a spot here somewhere where we're going to be able to make my way up this. It's gotta kind of... Oh. He's liking that. Oh, okay. We'll get this. I was like, I do want to show this because there's a neat little extra area we can get to if I can find the right angle here. Easier to watch someone else do it, so one person, yeah. Oh. Oh, there's a spot right there. I can see it. Like he's catching the edge. I'm gonna check and just see if I can happen to get. Like this is gonna be too steep, right? Yeah, he's not getting up that. Not gonna be able to get this, am I? No. Okay, it's totally right there. Just gotta find the right angle to catch this at. Maybe I should try it without the mount. That might help. Let's try it without the mount and see if that helps. Sometimes the mount can hinder you more than it's helping. No. I was like, I gotta catch that angle where he's... Oh! What if I mount here? Come on. Oh! Come on! Oh, it's right there. I can totally see it. Like, you can see he's grabbing that terrain. So, like, there's a spot right there where I can do this. Just gotta find the right angle where I can leap over and get up there without falling down onto that bit. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm so close. Oh, this is frustrating. I can see the spot. Like, you can see him grab onto that ledge a little bit there, and it's like, okay, he's gonna get enough grip to pull himself up. I just have to get the exact right angle on this to get it to pop up. If I just jump around enough here, we should eventually hit it. Oh, come on. We're right there. Just get up. They managed to patch this at some point and I just didn't realize it, because I swear you can get up this. Well, let's try something else. Let's try... What if I go a little farther over that way? What if we, like, onto this? Then onto... Oh, that didn't work. Well, now I'm... Where the hell am I? Oh, God. Hello? Ah, I see. The ceiling isn't solid there. Well, there went that. That's a bummer. There's a little extra bit you can get to down here if you wander far enough. That has like a goblin mining camp. It's like an abandoned goblin mining camp. Okay, look. Go away, all of you. I need to find my way out of this hellhole. Oh, God. No. No, come on. Stop attacking my scorpion. Guys, you're like 50 levels lower than me. This isn't gonna end well. Just go back. There you go. Oh, God. How the hell do you get out of here? Ah, where's the exit to this place? You know what? Screw it. Here's the exit to this place, right here. Look at that. We'll just portal out of here. That's fine. I don't like these guys anyway. Alright. Where the hell am I? I'm in Dalaran. Yeah, the only other thing really I was hoping I could get into that out of bounds area, but I don't want to waste too much time on that, seeing as the servers are closing and I do have to stream Dark Souls at some point here. The only other, like, remaining area that's really going to be a big change is going to be Darkshore, which we can get to pretty quick. Oh, look at that. Any fishing out here. I was like, I do want to try to get my unarmed thing up on my Death Might, so I'm going to probably, between ending this and starting Dark Souls, go punch that that guy out in Blasted Lands for a little bit and cook myself some food while I'm waiting.
What do you need?
Alright, let's head to here. Zoremgar, which is another one of the areas that's changing, and then we can head on up and take a look at... What the hell was that? There was something in the sky right there that... Oh. Ah, it's this. This is all glitching in and out of existence because, you know, you're not supposed to be able to see it. Which, once flying gets added in, needs to change because you will very definitely be able to see it. Yeah, so much of this map was, like, designed around the... You're going to be on the ground, so, like, the tops of these mountains don't need to look right, and, like, the tops of trees don't really need to look right, and, you know, who cares if you can get outside of the map here, because, you know, you don't need to put anything behind that map. And once they add flying, that all had to get redone. Like, you have to go through and make sure all that stuff is changed, because otherwise it's gonna look awful. I was like, I know I got outside the map one of the other times I was streaming Warcraft. I don't remember the exact same spot. I don't remember what stream that was, or I would just link to that, but one of the other times we were poking around, I was like, let's show that off. I don't think I ended up streaming it the day. I know Eric and I were doing it together once, and we managed to get ourselves out of there, but I don't think I was streaming that day. I had some screenshots and stuff from it, but maybe I did. I might have gone live just to show that little out of bounds bit off. Genuinely don't remember. Is this where that volcano is? Now we're coming up on it. Yeah, the volcano is going to be erupting right up here. I don't know if does this little outpost still exist? This is what, Rainwood Retreat? Let's take a look here. If I go to Ashenvale, does Rainwood Retreat? Yeah, it does survive. And yeah, see right there. There ends up being that little bit of water added in right here, and a big giant volcano pouring into it. And Hellscream's Watch, I believe, is new. There's like a new little horde outpost added up on this hill that wasn't there before. Yeah, bunch of changes across all that stuff. Feralus and Desolus, the big change in Desolus, which I could show, but it's really not going to show much, is that the central bit of Desolus, where the Kodo graveyard is, gets a giant Cenarian enclave added in. So there's going to be a massive forest in the middle of it that isn't there now. The thing is that I could go there to show it to you, and what I'd be showing you is nothing, because there's nothing there now. It's just a giant empty gray field, and there's going to be some cool trees and stuff there afterwards. If you've ever been to Desolus in Classic, there's not much there. It's all pretty much this color, and just as far as the eye can see, this. It's pretty bland, and they do add a giant Cenarian enclave in the middle of it in the patch. And then, yeah, Feralus, the only major change is they move. Dire Maul gets reduced into one dungeon instead of 3, and then the Night Elf City gets moved from here to here because this whole island gets sunk under the ocean, and then this gets burned down. So Feathermoon Stronghold gets burned down, moved over to here, and this entire island, Isle of Dread, which there's really nothing going on there for the most part, just sinks under the water. There's some quests where you can go explore the ruins, which is kind of cool, but yeah, not a huge amount going on there. Alright, and yeah, this little outpost right here. As it stands right now, not a lot. It gets a wall and some actual buildings and actually looks like, you know, more of a proper outpost after Kata, as opposed to just being like 3 huts on a beach. Other than that, not a huge amount of changes. Again, there's some changes to like level ranges and stuff for some of these dungeons. Like right now, this is... I can't remember which one... I've been finding something like that with the woods. It was just an infinite, unending woods. Yeah. I'm finding games want to troll the player. One game they made it out of balance endlessly. You're constantly walking, but you're not actually going. Oh, that's fun. Ah, that's fun. Sorry, I missed that second one there. I saw the number 1, and I thought that was the one from the one person get the skull if one of us struggles too much. Yeah. I was like, well, I'd already read the message because I saw the number, but no, different message. Does this lead me into Dark Shore? Apparently this does lead me into Dark Shore. Alright, cool. Let's take this path. Very good. Oh, I just realized that means I'm going to need to update all my mods today. Or add-ons. Not mods. Like my UI add-on, and I have this thing that's adding these green arrows to the map to show me like where the zones connect. That's an add-on that's not in the official map. This is a way to get into old Outland and retail, because like the base map is still in the game, you just need to glitch to get into it. I mean, Outland still old Outland. They haven't updated Outland. It's one of the only things that never did get updated. There's a bunch of stuff like that though. Like yeah, there's a bunch of old map versions of stuff where like the old data is just still sitting in there. It's like old Ironforge in Classic, where you can... I don't know. I mean, Draenor gets blown up and turned into Outland lore-wise. This bit gets changed. This is kind of cool. You've got this giant, weird, dead god thing with a sword sticking out of its head. There's an excavation that unearths all of this. And so in the post-Kata version, this is all carved out and exposed, and you can actually see what's going on here. Oh god, it's begun again. And then a little farther down, there's going to be a giant, absolutely enormous tornado whirling here, with Malfurion standing at the center of it, who is not present in the old version. In Classic, Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King, Malfurion is not in the game. He is asleep. Senior Stormrange is taking a nap, and he is woken up for Cataclysm, and you will find him... I mean, I think you can find him in Darnassus as well, but if you're just out running around... I remember I was, like, talking to my friend Jeff when we first were playing this, and I was still really low level. You know, I was like level 20 or something, so I couldn't explore the map as much as I wanted to, because the reason I was playing Warcraft is that I was like, oh, I just finished Warcraft 3, I love this story, I want to see this world, but, like... It takes so long to level up in this game that I was like, man, it's going to take me forever to see any of this stuff. So he hopped on that 2-seater rocket and gave me like a tour. And and he's like, there's a bunch of changes to these zones that I haven't seen. So was, you know, I'll go explore with you and we'll see what we can find. And we found this like area out here where there's this giant, massive tornado and the ground's all torn apart and all these trees have fallen over. And we're like, well, he's like, I don't know what the hell that is. And we went over and there's like a guy standing in the middle, and I'm like, who's the dude in the middle? And he's like, I don't know. And then we went over there, and it's like, it's Malfurion. He didn't know who Malfurion was because he'd never played Warcraft 3. So, like, we're playing through this zone, and he's like, oh yeah, isn't that like the Night Elf guy or something? And I'm like, what do you mean, isn't that the Night Elf guy? Like, it's the Night Elf guy. I was like, it's so weird seeing that, like, the different experiences that players can have depending on where they come into this franchise at, as far as like which characters are important to them. Because yeah, like vanilla through Wrath, Malfurion was not a character, like did not exist. And yeah, one of the other big changes we're gonna see here in There's going to be a massive tornado. There's some water added here. This waterfall kind of collapses and forms a whirlpool, although there's really not much done with that. And this whole city gets destroyed, which... Can I safely enter this city? What level are you guys? You're level 54. What level are the guards around here? Whatever. Technically, this is a Alliance questing hub, and I'm on a troll, so I'm not going to be particularly welcome here. The guards definitely will attack me, and if I do get attacked, it will flag me for PvP, but they're like level 40, whatever. I'll be fine. I can kill any of these guys, no problem. Wander around here a little bit. This whole thing gets blown up and sunk into the ocean, and like the ground's all upheaved. I can actually take a little bit of a look at that here if I go to Ashenved. Darkshore, that's what I want. Here's where we're at right now, and that's what it's going to look like afterwards. It is very dead, and they move. Most of the people from here end up moving a little farther up, and they build a new little city slightly farther up the road, which becomes the new, like, docks. Because, like, this is the docks. This is how you get back and forth between, like, this little outcropping here. That is the... Oh, God. Oh, God. No. Stop that. Fine. Uh-oh. Okay, never mind, I'm not fine. Well, I'm fine, but... I've pissed off the locals. Let's head out here real quick. This is the boat to Darnassus, which will fly you back and forth to the Night Elf tree here. I believe this boat at the end is the boat to the Exodar. No, stop that. So, like, if you wanted to get out to the Exodar as a Horde player, you're going to have to, like, ride this. Hey, Zan, how's it going? At the very end of Wrath, the patch that introduces Kata goes live this afternoon. So, we're just kind of taking a look at some of the changes to the game. Menethil? Gotcha. Is this Menethil or is this Stormwind in this patch? I don't remember. Or is the Stormwind boat the one that's on Teldrassil? Screw it. Let's go find out. I'm sure it'll be fine. I was like, I can't remember if this is Stormwind or if this is Menethil. Yeah, there's a couple boats here that I don't remember where they all end up going. I know they changed some of this because the Aberdeen gets burned down and destroyed, and they move there's like a new town up here, and they redo some of the boats there because I think the Exodar boat isn't there anymore. I think the Exodar boat is now over on over on oh, I shouldn't have done that right now. Oh well, that's fine. Pardon me. Just minor stowaway here. Don't mind me, sir. We're just gonna... Oh, apparently they don't mind me. Okay, we're good. We're just gonna ride this boat and see where it takes me. I'm either about to get dropped off in Stormwind or Menethil Harbor. I'm not gonna be welcome in either of them, but it's fine. But yeah, we're just kind of showing off all the major changes we're gonna be seeing with the release of Kata. I think that's basically it. Like, this is the last zone I needed to show off that's gonna have some big changes going on with it. Obviously, other than like the new zones that are just entirely new getting added. This stuff doesn't get touched at all. There's some very minor tweaks to this, but nothing super major. You know, new zone added down here. There's going to be a couple of new little maps added in here. Oh, we should go take a look at this, where Gilneas is. Yeah, that would be worth looking at. So once we get wherever this is taking me, I will figure out how we're going to get ourselves over there. I might just pop on a different character that's over near Undercity. Or that has an active cooldown that I can get over to Gilneas and take a look where that's going to be. Because that's opening up for sure. Well, not opening up, but changing. That's all changing. Let's see where this takes me. It's definitely either Menethil or Stormwind. I just don't remember which one's the pre-Kata and which one is the post-Kata version. It is... Whoops. Well, it's Stormwind. I really don't want to be here on this character. um, well, not Menethil, yeah. Welcome to the Alliance capital city on my level 75 ungeared troll. We're just gonna stay here for a minute. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, this is smarter. I was like, I could run out of here, but there'd be nowhere to go. Like, there's not like anywhere for me to get to from here. God, Stormwind is so much better defended than Orgrimmar. Like, trying to get to like Anduin / Varian to go kill for the like for the Horde or for the Alliance achievements where you have to kill all the faction leaders. That is a mess. Like, holy shit. Like, if you come through the front way, you have to get all the way through Valley of Heroes, all the way through Trade District, all the way through Old Town, and up to here, which is like, you are fighting all the way through, and you are going to be setting off every warning bell, because there's a defense chat. And if I, attack somebody here, every Alliance player in the city is going to get a notification that there's an attack underway. As long as I don't attack anybody, I'm fine. But as it stands, I am flagged for PvP. I was like, okay, am I flagged for PvP or not? But yes. I am flagged for PvP right now, so they could kill me if they were to find me. But yeah, it is a mess getting up there, whereas like Orgrimmar is just like, you come through the door, you gotta get to here, which is a little bit of a mess, but like, you can go down this sideway, and especially after Cataclysm, when they move the War Chief's hut to the front, like, you just come through the front door and he's right there. I mean, admittedly you have flying then, so it's significantly easier to get into Stormwind as well, because you can just airdrop directly onto Anduin. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, what? Ah, get out of here. Oh, is that... Oh, is the final pyramid? Is it? Because it's got the Darnashian boat. I thought that was Exodar. I thought that was Exodar, and then Menethil was... One sec, I can actually tell you. My add-on will let me know. If I go to here... Oh, I have to be on an Alliance character. Hold up. Screw it. One sec. We're gonna check this. I want to know now. I was like, I thought they moved the Exodar boat to Teldrassil after Kata. I thought that pre-Kata it was this dock between Exodar and the mainland. Let me pop over to my Alliance character. I can actually find out real quick. When does the tree burn? That is the BFA pre-patch. So we are a long ways out from that. But yeah, if I go over to this guy, I should actually be able to tell. Oh my god, I'm in Menethil. What the hell? Dustwallow. Yeah, Dustwallow Marsh. Theramore. That's what I thought. I was like, Menethil and Theramore were the connection back in the day. And then, yeah, it's Teldrassil, Azure Mist, so the Exodar, and then Stormwind. And then I think from here, it's just one boat, which is the boat back and forth between Darkshore. And then after Kata, yeah, they shuffle that around a little bit. Yeah, that's the thing, is it's so hard to remember how some of this connects together, because so much of the map change, like, after Kata, and especially, like, quality of life convenience stuff, like connecting things together more reliably, insanely. A lot of that changes. You know what? Screw it. It's like trying to remember how you get between places. Like, I swear... let's check something here. I swear that the big portal at the top of the Mage Tower in Stormwind took you somewhere at one point. And that might be a post-Kata thing, and I genuinely don't remember where it takes you, because it doesn't take you anywhere in retail, and it hasn't for quite a while. So I don't remember, like, how to find that. Let's pop back to Stormwind real quick, and we'll see if we can test this theory. Yeah, like this. I swear that you used to be able to, like, jump into this, and it would take you somewhere, and I don't remember where the hell it takes you. Is that the Badlands portal? or Blasted Lands portal? Because I thought, because there's the thing down here. There's this. There's this little portal to Blasted Lands here. But like I swear that running into this used to take you somewhere. I don't remember. I could be completely hallucinating that, but I swear I remember that going somewhere. But yeah, they completely changed this now in retail. Like now this is like it doesn't look anything like this anymore. But yeah, I think we've basically shown off all the stuff except for Gilneas. So we'll go show off Gilneas as long as we're showing stuff off. And the easiest way to do that, we'll go back to this guy, is going to be to find a Horde character that has their Hearthstone off of cooldown. He does not have his Hearthstone off of cooldown. I want to get to Undercity reliably. What's going to be my best way to do this? Also, Jesus. Speaking of changes in Kata, oh my god, my Hunter is about to have so much better of an experience in life. I am no longer going to need mana, period, because they switch Hunters to energy after this, and it is the best change in the universe, because half my time as a Hunter right now is, like, I finish a pull, and then I have to, drink or swap over to Aspect of Viper to get my mana back. Flight path from Ashenvale. Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be flight path to Orgrimmar and then take the Zeppelin over. So we're just going to run down to Zoramgar right now. But yeah, mana disappears completely, so that's a big change. I no longer need to feed my pet, although you really don't. In Wrath, they already changed that a little bit. Up until Wrath, your pet had a happiness thing, which I can still show you. It's still there. Diet meat. And you have to feed your pet, and their happiness would go down over time. Every time they died or you dismissed them, it would go down even more. That was a mess. In Wrath, they changed it so it automatically increases over time just by getting kills, which makes it much nicer. You don't have to constantly be shoving food in their face. You still will need to if they die a bunch or something, but that doesn't happen super often. In Kata, they just get rid of that. You no longer need to feed your pets. I think you technically still can for roleplay purposes, but you don't need to. It doesn't provide any benefit. They also completely changed the way the pet's skill tree and everything works. They give me the ability to have more than one pet on me, because as it stands in Kata, or in Wrath, you can only have one pet on you, and once you hit 80, you get a talent that lets you, or a skill that lets you call a second pet from your stables, but you can only have 5 pets in your stable, so it's super limited. You can't just become a Pokemon master and go out and collect all the animals in the world. Kata lets you carry 5 pets on you and 20 pets in your stable, which is so much nicer. Ammunition is no longer a thing post Kata. I still have to keep my weapons loaded, so you can run out of ammo and have to go back to town and buy more ammo. As soon as Kata comes out, that is no longer a thing. I will just be able to fire infinite bullets out of my gun or arrows out of my bow or whatever, which is so much nicer. Oh my god, Hunters just got all of the quality of life improvements in Kata. It's so much easier to play them. So I am very much looking forward to that, because I definitely enjoy Hunters the most out of all of the classes in the game. Knights are probably my second closest. Are my lights flickering, or is my monitor flickering? Or is my brain flickering? Am I going insane? Alright, cool. Good. Reagents for paladin buffs. Oh god, did you? Jesus. That's wild. Yeah, I remember warlocks, you needed all those soul stones, so half your bag was full of soul stones, so they fixed that. You don't need to use up half your bag with soul stones anymore. There's so many little quality of life changes in Kata that yeah, I know there's people that hate on Kata for sure, but let's be real, man. The problems Kata had were a lack of content when it released, and that was because they put so much of their dev time into revamping all this crap, and then into quality of life stuff. So the actual content, the 5 new zones we get, and the content at release was pretty lackluster. The zones were good, but there wasn't much endgame available. Although I will say, I think some of the later Kata patches added some fun stuff. Like Firelands was great. Like all the stuff doing with Firelands was just fantastic. Um, and Dragon Soul's cool. Like Dragon Soul's a great raid. That whole End Times Dragon Soul thing was a really fun bit of content. So that once that gets added in, it balances out a bit. The other thing to mention is that yeah, there's so much quality of life changes that get added with Kata that like I cannot complain about Kata as an expansion. Like, good God, the game is just so much. Particularly if you're playing as a solo player or if you're a new player, the new player experience is so much smoother in Kata. Like, I cannot overstate that. Quit Kata since playing regularly since end of vanilla. Started, there's a guild drama and SWTOR launched went over there with guildies. Yeah, for sure. I hear you. Like, and that's the thing. Like, there's so much going on that, like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, totally understandable. And Wrath was definitely like a high point. Like, I would say that the end game content in Wrath is like really solid. It's super fun. The leveling experience through Northrend was fantastic. The leveling experience through Northrend is significantly nicer than the leveling experience through Endgame Kata. Like no doubt there at all. All the zones were super cool. And then if we're gonna talk good raids, like sure, Firelands and Dragon Soul are good. Like Firelands is arguably one of the best raids in the game. It's very good. But if I were gonna pick the top 3 raids in WoW, it's like Ulduar, Icecrown, Firelands. They're just the best. Like they're so good. That era, whoever was doing the level design and the raid design and the boss mechanics and like just the map, the balance of story content to combat, because there's a ton of really cool story content in all of those raids, where you can just experience the story of the raid as you're going through it, and there's NPCs talking to you, and there's stuff going on. Like they're so interactive and fun to be in. Like it's the full package. They really got it right, as far as the design of that went. In that era there, like that was like the trilogy of the best raids they've ever done. And then there's Bastion of Twilight or whatever the hell the middle one, the launch raid for Kata that's sitting in there in the middle. That's like the sore thumb that just sticks out as like, oh, this is just trash. Like that raid was so bad. Like it's the Cho'Gall one. I can't remember what the hell the name of it is. That giant pillar in Twilight Highlands, and like, oh, it's just the most forgettable, bland, uninteresting raid. Like, there's no fun mechanics going on there. There's no story. The level design is, I don't even remember what the interior of that place looks like. It is just the most forgettable raid. The only cool thing it had is it had the because they'd introduced, is it hardcore? I can't remember what the hell the name of that, what the difficulty tiers are here. Heroic tier. That's the second tier raid. Because they'd introduced heroic raids with Icecrown. The heroic version of Bastion of Twilight had an extra boss, which was kind of cool. That was the first time they'd done something like that, where there was an extra boss that you only got if you were playing on the heroic version, and it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like that's kind of a neat idea. Instead of just doing like the hard mode versions, because they've been experimenting with trying to make the raids more interesting. Like Ulduar's hard mode versions of the fights were super interesting, and Icecrown's heroic difficulty was like, oh, this is a great idea. Like you get this a fully different experience to how the raid would normally play, where there's new mechanics and harder fights introduced. Ulduar hard modes are so like one of the coolest ideas they've ever had in the game, and I argue that I think that was a better way to handle difficulty than heroic and mythic. I think having the like optional, you can do something different that will functionally change how the raid works is a better mechanic than just making the damage and the health higher. I find that significantly more fun and interesting, but what the hell do I know? we're gonna real quick go check out the entrance to Gilneas, and that is basically the last thing that I'm gonna do here. I do need to, I think it's about 45 minutes we're aiming to start doing Dark Souls with Ghosty, although I also want to make sure that I get my unarmed skill leveled up, so we'll be trying to do that before I start Dark Souls. I honestly might just leave this running in the background while I'm playing Dark Souls and have my character smacking that unkillable, what are they called? Not ogre, in Blasted Lands. And just have that running in the background while I'm playing Dark Souls to get that leveled up. Well, I think he can technically kill me. I would need to tab over every now and then, hit a button to heal. Yeah, training dummies don't give weapon XP, which is a pain in the ass. They should, but yeah, they don't. Is that Undercity there? Am I about to miss my damn boat? Or is Undercity the one on the right? That might be. Yeah, no, that's what you call it, Strangleporn. Undercity's over here. Here we go. Yeah, no, that's unfortunately they don't give weapon XP, which is a pain in the ass. I don't know why they don't, but considering that there is, like, you can just go fight, like, there's a couple of enemies you can fight in the game, although I feel like that's probably unintended. There's an NPC, an ogre, that's part of a quest in Blasted Lands, and he is completely unkillable. You can get him to 1 HP and he will not go below that until you use the quest item on him. But you do get weapon XP for hitting him, so you just go there and, like, right-click him and then tap out. You'll be fine. Alright. Hello, hello. What are you? Blood Elf Hunter. Were you trying to get off here, or are you just riding the airship for today? All right, cool. Yeah, we'll go check out the gates to Gilneas. They are out. They're just taking a tour, enjoying the airship commute. Also, big change we're going to get in Kata is Transmog. That gets added in Kata pre-patch, and the way they're handling it for Classic is that the collections, the Appearance Collection tab is getting added immediately, and the Transmog thing is getting added right away. So we will have Transmogs available as of this afternoon, so I will no longer be wearing clown armor on all of my characters. Although I'm not going to lie, other than the chest piece not quite matching, I kind of like how this looks. Like, this looks pretty cool. There's also going to be higher resolution, higher definition character models added in, so they will have a much nicer look on that. A couple other minor changes like class balance changes and stuff like that. There's a ton of stuff like that. You can go look at the patch notes if you want to see that. The patch would be 4.0 or 4.0.3 would have been the classic version, the original version of the patch. You can go see how all those patches changed in. I don't think anything really changes here. The only thing that changes here, I can't show off. Before Kata, if you had a way to see invisible, and not like flare, like it's like a priest or a shaman ability that lets you see ghosts. I don't remember how this works. There's the ghosts of the citizens of Lordaeron that you can see in the, where the hell is Zadormi here?
Need help?
Oh, Battle for Undercity. Ah, got it, in case you get stuck out of that. I know I'd hate it, ruin the good memories I had if I did my time and just need to let it die. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just here for the nostalgia. Like I said, I'm not here to, push any end game content or do anything functional. I'm just here to have fun. It's just for me, it's just a fun single player RPG at the moment. Yeah, in this courtyard, there's some, like, the ghosts of the citizens of Lordaeron wandering around, and if you have a way to see, like, spectral enemies, you can see them. And I don't remember how you do that. Like, Flare doesn't do it. I don't remember what the hell class you have to be to do that. And those ghosts get patched out at the end of Kata here, so, or at the end of Wrath here, so this would be the last chance to see them, but I don't remember what the hell you have to do in order to see them, or what class it is that has that ability. It might be Shaman, because Shaman's got that one really goofy, like, spirit vision thing that they can do. It's how they can find rogues, and it's the most obnoxious thing on the fucking planet. I think that might be it. Let me look this up real quick. Ghosts. Oh god, Ghosts of Lord Deron. I think that's how you spell that. Ghosts of Lordaeron. No. Ghosts of Lordaeron ruins. Invisible, untargetable. Undercity. There's no mention of them. Oh, if you die, can you just see them? Walk to the courtyard from outside. Oh, well, hold up. If that works, if you can just die and see them, well, that's real easy. Not gonna lie, I thought you had to do something more advanced than die. Okay, let me just real quick. There's got to be something around here I can jump off of, right? Oh, you know what? Ironically, what I could do, there's the strongest guess I'll die moment I've ever seen. Yeah, you know, it's fine. This looks likely. There we go. All right, so now we just sit here for a couple of minutes. This will be fine. There's a change to how feigned death works that happens in Kata that would help me. It might have already happened though. In original vanilla, if you let your feigned death timer run out, you just actually died. So it lasts up to 6 minutes, but yeah, like if you just like feigned death and then sat there, you would just die. Which somebody found out the hard way when they were playing classic hardcore, and they were like, oh god, I'm just gonna walk away from I'm gonna AFK for a minute, and they're like, I'll just feign death because then I can just AFK for a minute, and they feigned death, and then they came back and they were just actually dead. It's like, oops, there went that character. Rest in pepperonis indeed, the big pepperoni. Especially with hardcore, just instantly deleting your character when you die. That is unfortunate. And definitely, like, I don't know how you would have known that. Like, I wouldn't have known that. I play Hunter like as my main, and I've never heard that before. Even even when I was playing Hunter, and there's stuff that I hadn't experienced, like ammunition and pet happiness and whatever. I still knew about that, but like, I'd never heard about like you'll just die if you feign death too long. Losing a character thinking you're safe going AFK isn't safe. Yeah, they were like in like a friendly city too or something. They like the only reason they feigned death was like because they thought it would be funny. Like, they're just like, whatever, I'll just plop onto the ground here for a second while I wander off to go cook a pizza. And then like, well, time to start a new character. It is unfortunate. Thankfully, we're not playing on hardcore, and so death is nothing but a minor inconvenience. And a slight gold hit, but whatever. I don't know what level he was. I don't think he was max level, so like, not the end of the world, but still painful. Still painful. Especially because hardcore, WoW hardcore is played in the original classic vanilla rule set, so all of the quality of life features have not been implemented yet. So it is very slow leveling and it takes a long time. It is not an easy experience by any means. I would not be cut out for it. I can tell you that right now. The people that play like WoW hardcore on PvP servers are like insane, man. I don't know how you would. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm fine with being like, okay, I've lost my deathless challenge, and I'll put that tick somewhere. But like deleting the character that is a bit much. All right, let's test if this works. I'm gonna laugh if this doesn't do anything. It's gonna be real funny. You know, I'm not seeing any ghosts out here. There's supposed to be some ghosts out here. Is that only in Classic Classic? It's entirely possible it's only in Classic Classic. Thankfully, there's a spirit healer, like, literally right here, so whatever, not the end of the world. It's possible maybe this already got patched out by the time of Wrath. I think the reason they got rid of it is because of the fact that they were NPCs. There were occasional times that players were able to interact with them, or they could interact with certain spells or whatever in unintended ways that could lead to some problems. Because yeah, there's occasional mechanics like that get deleted just because it's like, oh yeah, the existence of an NPC can, cause things to go a little haywire sometimes. Like I think it was possible for if an alliance raid was going through to try to kill Sylvanas, and they decided to go through the front entrance instead of the back entrance because they were insane, and they used an AoE spell, they could pull the ghosts. Like there was some weird stuff that could happen there that was like not entirely intentional. It's kind of like what's the goofy the Tauren in Orgrimmar that everybody liked to attack and pull and see how far they could kite him. Gammon? Is that his name? He's a neutral Tauren that's like attackable in the middle of Orgrimmar. And that is because he is used in a rogue pickpocketing quest where they're teaching you how to pickpocket people, and you have to pickpocket an item off of him. And in order for a target to be able to be pickpocketed, they have to be attackable. They can't be a non-hostile or non-targetable. So he had to be a neutral, targetable NPC in order for him to be pickpocketed. And they wanted him in Orgrimmar because it was like a tutorial quest, so they wanted to put him somewhere nice and safe, so that like if you're someone that's playing the game, like you're just learning a mechanic, you're not even to like fight your way through a group of enemies to do it. And it just led to this like there's just a random targetable NPC in the middle of Orgrimmar that everybody he's just always dead. He is effectively always dead because people just kill him because it's funny, because it's kind of goofy that you can just kill a random NPC in the middle of Orgrimmar. Oh, speaking of other things that are going to change with Kata, you see these Worgen over here? You can skin them. You won't be able to do that after the patch today. They remove the ability to skin Worgen after the patch because they become a playable faction, and they decide that being able to skin a sentient playable race is maybe a little fucked up. So they patch that out after today. So I will no longer be able to make my gear out of Worgen skin. I was like, that is another, minor change. There's also a bunch of quest changes here. Sepulchre gets massively redone. There's some new changes out in this map. This map is really cool, but I'm going to be playing through this map, so we'll see all the changes. Skin more. I'm not going to skin anymore right now. It's fine. The argument they used back in the day was that they're like, oh, well, you can't skin anything that talks. That was their like, oh, we won't let you skin, like, why can't I skin Tauren? And it's like, well, because you can't skin anything that talks, but like, there's plenty of fucking talking working. There's an entire quest chain in Grizzly Hills that's just like all about talking sentient Worgen that like tricked people into thinking they were your allies. On the Alliance side, anyway. Yeah, there's a bunch of goofy nonsense out here. Alright, let's keep rolling. Does this say Gilneas on it? Hillsbrad, Gilneas. It actually does list Gilneas as a destination on this sign. Interesting. right now this whole area is just like nothing. Like there's just a bunch of random mobs moving around here. Like we don't have Forsaken out here at all. After Kata, there is going to be a massive war effort that has rolled in out here, and there's going to be a huge war going on between the Worgen and the Forsaken out in the fields here. Mostly due to the fact that the walls here are about to come down. So if we go a little bit farther out where we can actually see Gilneas, you can just see it coming into view here. There is a big old giant wall, the Grey Mane Wall. And this is lore-wise supposed to be that like when Lordaeron fell to the Forsaken, or to the Scourge, the humans that lived in Gilneas just said screw this, and they built a giant fuck-off wall and hold themselves up. And so now you got all these like refugees out here that have been trying to get in, and Gilneas is just like, nope, nobody gets in. We're not letting any of you folks in. And there's like the Worgen plague out here that they're worried about, so they just hold themselves up and said no. And we'll see the Worgen start zone. I'll stream that at some point, just because the Worgen and the Goblin starting areas are both really cool. So I don't think you can get into the other side of this right now, but yeah, the city of Gilneas is supposed to be on the other side of this wall, but is inaccessible in classic WoW, but will become the Worgen starting area. And there'll be a whole quest chain out here, and I think once you do the quest chain on the Horde side, you can actually get through the gate and go explore like the ruined, abandoned version of Gilneas in there. But yeah, that is about it. The only thing I've got left to do here before the pre-patch rolls out, we're being the Kata beta, I just tried out those 2 races, never did retail. Yeah, I played the pre-patch. I didn't play the beta, but I played the pre-patch, which is what's going to be rolling out this afternoon. The equivalent of the November 23rd build, 4.0.3A, which adds in a bunch of new stuff. It's going to change the maps, it's going to add in the new races, you'll be able to make a new Goblin or make a new Worgen if you want to. You'll be able to level through all the revamped zones, but the new zones and the level cap aren't going to be raised until May 20th. So from today until May 20th, you have the revamp of the old areas and the new races, and then on May 20th, the actual main expansion will open up. In between that, there will be the event of Deathwing randomly flying around the map and setting people on fire. And you can get a unique achievement if you get set on fire by him. So we're also going to try to hopefully get hit by that if possible. He just kind of wanders around the world, torching places, and if you happen to be in the right spot at the right time, you can get killed by him, and you get a unique achievement for getting killed by him. But for now, I'm going to log out and let myself go level up unarmed so I can get the unarmed feat of strength for having unarmed maxed out. And then I think I'm going to be streaming Dark Souls with Ghosty, starting in about half an hour. I'm hoping I have enough time to finish leveling my weapon skills there, because this is my last chance to do it. I at least want to get the unarmed one up, and that shouldn't be too bad to do. So work on that real quick, and then yeah, we'll be doing Dark Souls with Ghosty, and then after I finish Dark Souls, I'm going to take a look and see where the servers are at on this, because they are shutting the servers down in a couple hours here. I think it's about 2.5 or 3 hours from now they're shutting the servers down. And then it claims they will be down for 8 hours. Knowing Blizzard and patches, when they say it will be down for 8 hours, that means it will be down for somewhere between 2 and 20 hours. And there's really no way of knowing. Sometimes they get it back up right away. Sometimes it takes them until the next day. There's effectively no predicting. Oh my god. Speaking of areas that don't work right without flying, hello, the back of this building. How's this working? That seems to be going well. Oh my god. Edge time, not yet. Well, hanging out, I'm not. Well, I guess I can keep streaming. Screw it. We'll leave it on, but I was like, I'm really not going to be doing anything stream worthy. I'm just going to be standing here and letting a guy punch me. That's the plan. Like, I don't have anything particularly noteworthy going on. Do I happen to have a sword or some other weapon I could use that I could level up? Don't have a sword. Two-handed axe, don't really need that. I can check if this guy sells something. He might sell something. And it's so I can keep the VODs separate. Fair. I'm gonna end it before I do Dark Souls for sure, but the leveling up my unarmed skill, I was like, I don't really see a need to to have that on stream, considering all I'm going to be doing is right-clicking an enemy and then occasionally pressing was it rune tap here to heal myself. Like, there's really not much going on there. I just need to let this guy smack me long enough that I can get my unarmed from 323 up to 400, which shouldn't take too long. I'm thinking maybe 20 minutes at the most. And then I wouldn't mind if I could get my two-handed swords up, but I will need a two-handed swords for that. Actually, pole arms would be better. If I could find a pole arm or a two-handed sword at Netherguard Keep that I can buy so that I can do that, that would be pretty ideal. Because there is an achievement here for... where is it? Master of Arms. 4 weapon skills to 400. Which will be unavailable after this patch rolls out. There's a bunch of stuff here that's going to be unavailable. Keymaster will no longer be available. There's a bunch of these. I haven't done much on quest achievement hunting on this character. This guy I just mostly built, I wanted to check out this server because I was like, oh, this sounds like a really nice server, and then they're shutting it down. So leveling this guy to 80 on this server was a bit of a waste. I could have just stuck with my main guy. That's okay. We'll migrate this guy somewhere safe. He'll have a new home. Is this Blackwater Park? Oh, it is Blackwater Park. Neat. Like, most of my Alliance Draenei are named Dr. Feelbad. Or Death Knights. Named Dr. Feelbad, but no, this one's Blackwater Park. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to end it here, and then I will be back in about half an hour for Dark Souls. So I will see you all then for that. I'm probably not going to bother doing a raid right now, because again, I'm just going to be back in like half an hour. So let everybody find their own way. I will be back in a bit, and we'll be doing some Dark Souls. For now, I am going to go cook myself some food and let this guy bonk on me for a little bit. Take it easy for now, and I will catch you all next time.